subscribe, like the video, and, if possible, join Patreon. But if you don't have much money, you can support the channel by watching the novels on euroaudiobooks.com. Remember that you can participate in the polls so that your favorite novel gets published for free.
On the wall in front, there were many screens hanging. They displayed surveillance footage from various parts of the base, as well as data on weapons and equipment. One person was tapping on a keyboard. Suddenly, an electric current emerged from the keyboard. The person was startled and quickly took a step back, saying, "Damn, is the keyboard malfunctioning?" Zap! A strand of electric current instantly rushed towards that person, like a venomous snake attacking. The person kicked his feet, his eyes rolled back, and with a loud thud, he fell to the ground. The people around quickly ran up. What the hell is going on? Is this keyboard a piece of junk? Did the purchaser take a bribe? Damn it. We need to immediately take him to the infirmary. Just then, sizzle, crackle. More electric current surged into the keyboard. The people around were instantly shocked. What the hell? Why is so much electric current coming out of the keyboard? Why is there so much electric current pouring out? It's like a flood. Damn it. Quickly unplug the keyboard. Just then, zap, zap, zap. Streams of electric current flew towards the crowd. Before the people could react, bang, bang, bang. Each of them kicked their feet and fell unconscious, crashing to the ground. Immediately after, Su Luo transformed back into human form and landed in the control room. He began rapidly tapping on the keyboard. Soon, he made the necessary settings and elevated Luke Cage's permissions to the highest level. This was mainly to facilitate Luke Cage's escape from the base after being rescued. Because Su Luo could transform into an electric current, he didn't need to do much to easily escape from here. After completing these tasks, Su Luo left the control room and returned to the laboratory where Luke Cage was located. He curled up on top of the camera, observing everything below. His attention focused on Breaki. There was no doubt that Breaki was the biggest obstacle to rescuing Luke Cage. If he wanted to save Luke Cage, he had to hold Breaki back and prevent him from stopping Luke Cage's escape. As long as Breaki couldn't catch Luke Cage, with Luke Cage's strengthened abilities and the elevated permissions Su Luo had given him, it would be relatively easy to escape. So, the only situation now was to stall Breaki. In terms of strength, Su Luo was definitely far inferior to Breaki. His only advantage at the moment was the massive amount of electric current in his body. If he were to release all the massive electric current inside his body at once, although it wouldn't be able to kill Breaki, it should be able to temporarily stun him. As long as Breaki was stunned, everything would be easy. Definitely, the premise was that he could hit Breaki. Breaki not only had great strength, but his speed was also astonishing. With Breaki's speed, he might be able to dodge Su Luo's electric current attacks. Su Luo looked at Breaki and thought to himself, the only way to ensure a hit on Breaki is to release the electric current at point-blank range. As long as I transform into an electric current, attach myself to Breaki, and then unleash the electric current. However, after the electric current explosion, I will lose the ability to transform into an element. In this level 1 stage, I am in a situation where I can be attacked. So I must ensure that Hatred will definitely be stunned by the electric current. And there won't be a situation where I release a large amount of electric current, but Hatred remains unharmed, and then turns around and defeats me. So Su Luo's brain started thinking and calculating rapidly. He calculated the estimated physical fitness and ability of Hatred based on the previous battle scenes in his mind. Then he calculated the strength of the electric current and the attack strength within his own body. Soon enough, Su Luo completed the calculations. His electric current should be able to stun Hatred for about 30 to 75 minutes. Definitely, if Hatred's strength further increases during this period, even doubling, then the time he will be unconscious will be shortened to about 10 to 30 minutes. After confirming that he can stun the opponent, Su Luo immediately felt relieved. He then transformed into an electric current and arrived at the instrument wire next to Luke Cage. Su Luo made a sound that only Luke Cage could hear. Don't make any sudden movements or noises. I'm here to save you. If the experiment is successful, I will rescue you. I will take care of most of the pursuers and tricky situations. You just need to escape. As a reward, after the rescue. I need to obtain some corresponding experimental data from you, which will not have a substantial impact on your life or body. After everything is done, you will be free to act. If you agree to this deal, blink your right eye twice, and then blink your left eye 3 times. Immediately after, Su Luo saw Luke Cage do as instructed. He then left the place and almost returned to a higher and broader view. His gaze immediately fell on the experiment below. He saw a group of people rapidly tapping on keyboards, with various data and parameters displayed on the screen. At this moment, a voice came from a speaker. Begin the injection. Immediately, the group of people acted in an orderly manner, pressing buttons one by one. Steam sounds, gas release sounds, and mechanical sounds filled the air. The serum and auxiliary agents in the syringes were all injected into the tubes. They were then injected into Luke Cage's body. In the next moment, Luke Cage suddenly opened his eyes, his veins bulging, and his expression filled with pain. On the computer screen, real-time data about Luke Cage was also rapidly changing and increasing. The hardness of Luke Cage's cells was rapidly increasing, making his 5.6 body even stronger. The red muscle fibers responsible for explosive power and the white muscle fibers responsible for endurance were both rapidly becoming stronger. In addition, the adenosine triphosphate, ADP, in the cells was also rapidly increasing, and the ADP circulation system was strengthening. When ADP undergoes hydrolysis, it forms adenosine diphosphate, ADP, and releases a phosphate group, simultaneously releasing energy. These energies are then utilized in the cells for muscle contraction, neural activity, and all other activities within the organism. ADP is widely used as an energy carrier in cells, so it is often referred to as the currency of energy in cells. In short, ADP is the direct energy for releasing power. To unleash even greater power, stronger support from ADP is needed. All of this indicates that Luke Cage's physical strength and power are rapidly increasing. Everyone around saw this scene and showed a slight smile. Su Luo saw this and also felt a hint of joy in his heart. However, with his terrifying observation and analytical ability, Su Luo suddenly noticed a small set of data in the massive data that was undergoing abnormal changes. What's going on? Why is the lactic acid system showing signs? The lactic acid system is the process where muscle glycogen undergoes anaerobic glycolysis during intense exercise, resulting in the production of lactic acid in the body, simultaneously releasing energy from muscle contraction. Clearly, Luke Cage did not undergo intense exercise, so why is a large amount of lactic acid being released? If this continues, all the muscles will constantly contract, eventually causing the muscles to become overly tense and directly rupture. Luke Cage will die. The experiment will fail. Seeing this, Su Luo's heart trembled. 091 The power of one blow shocks the military headquarters. Strong steel body. He glanced back at the other people in the laboratory. This guy didn't react at all. He didn't notice at all that there were some deviations in the data. No. The parameters must be adjusted, otherwise this experiment will be completely ruined. I won't be able to obtain Luke Cage's ability. Su Luo understood that his plan had to be put into action ahead of schedule. Whoosh! He instantly transformed into an electric current and rushed towards the instrument next to Breaki. Immediately, he transformed into a bolt of electric current and charged towards Breaki. When Breaki saw this, his pupils contracted. Enemy! In an instant, Bronski's whole body rapidly expanded and turned green. In his place stood a huge green monster with a somewhat crude appearance. He threw a punch towards that bolt of electric current. Unfortunately, he missed. That ball of electric current instantly reached him. Disgust widened his eyes. What is this? This scene instantly attracted the people around. The researchers around looked at disgust, all feeling fear in their hearts, their faces changing drastically. Seeing that ball of electric current, they also felt extremely astonished. What is this? What happened? That ball of electric current seems alive. It's over. Disgust is probably going to unleash his power. This experiment is likely to be ruined. General Ross outside also saw this scene. What's going on? General Ross frowned. This electric current is preparing to attack Disgust. It's useless. Disgust is a presence comparable to the Hulk. Ordinary electric currents and bullets can't harm him at all. Just as Disgust was astonished, Su Luo directly unleashed his power. He injected all the massive and precise electric current stored in his body into Disgust's body. Like a landslide, a terrifying torrent of electricity poured out. Boom! In an instant, a terrifying electric current erupted from Disgust's body, filling every limb and every cell of his body, impacting every single cell. The entire laboratory instantly turned bright white. Everyone either immediately closed their eyes or didn't have time to close them, their eyes stinging, screaming in pain. In the midst of the brightness, Disgust trembled all over, his eyes widened, and then turned white. Boom! He fell in the corner, fainted with the depletion of all the stored electric current. Su Luo also withdrew from his elemental form, transforming into a masked figure dressed in black. As everyone recovered, they looked towards the corner. Suddenly, the invincible monster in their minds had fallen, and there was a black-clad person standing next to it. This scene directly shocked everyone. No one expected this outcome. Disgust was defeated. In the eyes of everyone, a truly terrifying supermonster was directly defeated in one move. Who is this guy? An electric-based super ability? Is there such a powerful existence? General Ross, seeing this scene, trembled all over, his eyes filled with disbelief. The strongest measure he had prepared was actually defeated like this. A chill ran down his spine. Who is this guy? The person next to him, seeing this, widened their eyes and took a sharp breath. Damn, to directly stun Disgust with electricity, how massive must the power be? This guy's electrical capacity inside his body is simply terrifying. After Su Luo transformed into a human form, he didn't stop at all. He rushed out with a swift step, knocking several people in front of the experimental platform. He quickly tapped on the keyboard, his hands flying, creating afterimages. Under Su Luo's keystrokes, the experimental parameters were constantly being modified. He's calculating and modifying the experimental parameters. He wants to destroy this experiment. Stop him. The person in charge outside saw this scene, his eyes wide with anger, and shouted in fury. General Ross saw this and instantly grabbed the edge of the glass window in front of him, his eyes glaring, suppressing his anger. Who are you? Do you know that this is a highly classified experimental facility of the U.S. military? If you destroy this experiment, then you'll be permanently wanted by the U.S. military. You'll be wanted by official U.S. authorities, and you'll be listed as the #1 wanted criminal by SHILD, the Sword Bureau, and others. Don't do something you'll regret. Stop. General Ross's voice was not angry, but authoritative. But Su Luo inside completely ignored their words and continued to adjust with his hands. The researchers inside saw this and quickly picked up things, trying to stop Su Luo. Su Luo raised his hand. The external power stored in his body had indeed been depleted, but the special bioelectricity was still there. It was enough to deal with these ordinary researchers in the institute. He waved his hand. Suddenly, small arcs of electricity flew out like little snakes, heading toward the approaching group. ZZZ. All the researchers trembled and fell to the ground. Seeing this scene, General Ross gritted his teeth and picked up his pager. Mobile troops enter the laboratory immediately and capture the intruder. A black-clad masked person. The opponent has electric abilities. Remember to bring insulated shields. Under Su Luo's swift movements, the parameters were quickly modified. The relevant data of the lactate energy system suddenly appeared. The abnormal growth stopped, and it began to slowly decrease. At this moment, the person in charge outside finally noticed this. He widened his eyes. When did the lactate data skyrocket to this level? Oh my God, it has completely exceeded the safety limit. If this continues, Luke Cage will definitely die. Fortunately, it stopped. Damn it, our previous calculations completely failed to account for this problem. He looked at the masked person in front of the experimental platform again. This This guy isn't destroying the experiment. He's preventing the experiment from developing into a worse situation. He has saved this experiment from failure. General Ross next to him was stunned. He's protecting this experiment. The person in charge nodded and said, "The most important thing is that this guy can find something wrong in the massive data and make corrections in time. The entire experiment contains a huge amount of data, and modifying the parameters requires considering many aspects. Otherwise, it will cause a complete collapse, and the experiment will quickly deteriorate. But from the data on the screen inside, everything is stable and orderly, without any signs of collapse. It can be said that the experiment is proceeding perfectly. His ability in bioengineering has reached a high level, and his brain's processing ability is terrifying." The person in charge looked at Su Luo inside with a complex expression, a hint of awe in his eyes. Upon hearing such high praise from his superior, General Ross looked at the masked person with slightly widened eyes. "So powerful," General Ross quickly said into the pager. After entering, "Don't rush to capture him. Wait for him to finish his work, then capture him alive." The person in charge next to him quickly reminded, "This guy has electric abilities, and he just rushed out of the instrument, still in a lightning state. I dare to make a bold guess that this guy can turn into an electric current and dash through the wires. So, in order to catch him, we must first block his escape route. Cut off all the electricity outside this laboratory, except for the power in this room. Cut off all the electricity in the entire base, so that he can't escape through the circuits." Upon hearing this, General Ross nodded quickly. "Cut off all the electricity in the entire base, except for the laboratory I'm in." The conversation between General Ross and others outside was also heard by Su Luo. But he couldn't stop now. Because he was still completing the final parameter modification, he had to ensure the smooth progress of the experiment and ensure that Luke Cage didn't die at the hands of these idiots. Su Luo frowned slightly. "It's all because of these idiots. They didn't handle the experiment properly, causing Luke Cage to be in danger. Otherwise, I wouldn't have to come out early and alert them." Su Luo's original plan was to wait for the perfect completion of the experiment, then rush out, knock down the detestable person, absorb the electric energy, transform into an elemental state again, and leave this place. Su Luo tapped on the keyboard while feeling a throbbing pain in his temple. Now, he was going to break out with Luke Cage. Fortunately, the abomination had already been taken down. With General Ross's command, the entire base began to lose power, and everything fell silent. Many machines stopped working, and the lights in the rooms went out one by one. In a few breaths, except for the laboratory where Luke Cage was located, the entire military base lost power. Su Luo finished typing on his side. The parameters were completely modified. All relevant data was restored to a safe range, and Luke Cage's ability index was steadily increasing, moving toward success. At this moment, the mobile unit also arrived. A group of fully armed soldiers rushed in, holding rifles, high-level tranquilizer guns, and insulated shields, among other things. They all aimed at Su Luo. In an instant, Su Luo's spider telepathy was activated. He quickly dodged while grabbing some materials from the experimental table. His hands moved rapidly. Soon, a bottle of green experimental liquid appeared in his hands. He threw it towards the mobile unit at the door. Boom! An explosion directly sent those fully armed soldiers flying. Just at this moment, a ringing sound. The experiment was over. A roar. Luke Cage directly blasted the enclosed equipment he was in. "Let's go," Luke Cage said. After speaking, he stood in front of Su Luo and rushed outside. Clang, clang, clang. Bullets hit Luke Cage, but they had no effect at all. The tranquilizer gun couldn't break through Luke Cage's defense either. Like a raging bull, he ran towards the main gate. Su Luo quickly followed. With Luke Cage as a human shield, there was basically no attack that could reach Su Luo. The two of them, one in front and one behind, directly rushed out of the laboratory's gate, sending one soldier after another flying. Su Luo quickly guided Luke Cage on how to get out, guiding him on the way. The two of them were invincible. No one could defeat them. General Ross saw this scene, looked at the unconscious abomination, and clenched the pager in his hand. He quickly spoke into the pager. The intruders and the experimental subject, Carl, are about to break out of the experimental area. Prepare the ultrasonic weapons. Stop them both. Soon, Sue Luo and Luke Cage rushed out of the experimental area and into the base. At this moment, 2 ultrasonic armed vehicles came out and aimed at Sue Luo and Luke Cage. Seeing this, Sue Luo shouted, "Get out of the way," then destroy them. Luke Cage had already been attacked once, so he was even more vigilant. The 2 of them quickly ran to the sides. Buzz, 2 ultrasonic waves were instantly released and attacked the spots where the 2 of them had just stood. The ground cracked one after another. Sue Luo rushed to the side and, to everyone's astonishment, lifted up a military vehicle. He threw it directly. Boom! The ultrasonic function vehicle was directly bombed. What a monster! This intruder is too strong. Luke Cage next to him behaved in the same way. He lifted a military vehicle and directly blasted the sonic function car. After doing all this, Luke Cage and Sue Luo immediately ran towards the outside of the cave. The intercepted soldiers and cars were easily blown away by Luke Cage. Without any hindrance, Sue Luo and the 2 of them seemed to be in a deserted place, rushing out of the cave at a very fast speed. They rushed into the open base. At this time, lasers shot toward the 2 of them. Facing these lasers coming from all directions, Sue Luo swiftly dodged, moved, and turned, his whole body extremely agile. Those lasers couldn't touch him at all. Luke Cage blocked them with his raised hand, but the pain made him inhale slightly, showing a grimace. He quickly followed suit and dodged. However, his speed was far inferior to Sue Luo, not as agile as Sue Luo, so he would occasionally be hit. He groaned in pain a few times. Sue Luo next to him looked at Luke Cage's tough skin. The lasers couldn't penetrate, his eyes filled with joy. Very good. This kind of steel body is what we need. The thicker Luke Cage's skin, the harder his body will be. As the enemy's lasers continued to attack, Sue Luo and the 2 of them quickly picked up something nearby and threw it towards those laser guns. Boom, boom, boom. Explosions occurred one after another. General Ross waited and arrived at the observation deck, seeing the scene outside. Seeing Sue Luo and the 2 of them moving freely as if in an uninhabited place, he clenched his fist instantly. He furrowed his brows and said, "Is there no way to stop them?" The deputy next to him quickly reported the situation below. The sonic weapon has been destroyed by them, and the lasers can't harm them at all. If we use more powerful weapons, I'm afraid we will kill them, and it will not be worth it. The most important thing is that Abomination has passed out. We have lost our biggest insurance. Hearing this, Ross gritted his teeth and said, "Wake up Abomination immediately at any cost. I must wake up Abomination to stop them. Have Abomination stop them." Yes, immediately in the laboratory, a group of people, enduring their fear, rushed towards Abomination, trying various methods to wake him up. Outside, Sue Luo and the 2 of them rushed out of the base and into the mountains. They completely disappeared from the sight of the group. Seeing the 2 of them disappear, General Ross quickly said, "Track them for me. We must not let them escape. Release the drones. They must be heading towards New York. Immediately search in the direction of New York. At the same time, send people to search in other directions." Inside the base, under the stimulation of the crowd, Abomination finally woke up after being unconscious for 20 minutes. As soon as he woke up, he roared. The surrounding crowd was directly overturned. Although they were protected, they were still shaken and bleeding from their 7 orifices, their heads buzzing in pain. Abomination roared, "Where is that damn electric current?" He never expected that he would fail, and he fainted with just 1 blow. This made Abomination extremely angry and ashamed. General Ross's voice came out from the loudspeaker, full of majesty. "Abomination, immediately enter the mountains and pursue them in the direction of New York. They must be heading towards New York. Remember, capture them alive." Abomination roared. He directly smashed through the wall and ran towards the outside of the base. His speed was extremely fast, Almost in the blink of an eye, he rushed out of the cave. With a leap, he drew a terrifying arc in the air, and finally, with a loud bang, he crashed into the distant mountains and ran towards the direction of New York to track down the traces of Sue Luo and the others. 092 is Spider-Man? No, it's his father. Replica, steel body. Hate rushed towards New York, crashing and colliding. Trees were broken one by one. They fell with a rumbling sound, but as he moved forward, there was no sign of Sue Luo and the others. At the same time, General Ross's drones searched all the way, but they couldn't find any trace of them. In the end, they came up empty-handed. It was because Sue Luo and the others didn't directly head towards New York, nor did they head directly south. They took a slight detour and came out from the east side of the mountains and forests. They entered New York from the eastern region. At the end of the mountains and forests, Hate rushed out and looked at the endless plain ahead, but there was no sign of Luke Cage. He became furious and slammed his hands on the ground. With a loud bang, the earth immediately opened up a long crack. Damn it, where did he run off to? General Ross used the drones to search around, but he couldn't find any trace. His face was extremely ugly. Damn it, who is this mysterious person? This is the guy who broke into the prison last time, right? Spider-Man? Spider-Man actually has the ability of electricity. It seems I underestimated you, Spider-Man. General Ross's eyes were extremely cold. He looked at the officer beside him and said, "Search for Spider-Man's trace. Dig 3 feet into the ground and find Spider-Man for me." The officer immediately responded, "Yes, sir. I will immediately send people to search for Spider-Man. We will definitely find him." At this time, the person in charge walked up and shook his head. That guy is obviously not Spider-Man. General Ross frowned slightly. Not Spider-Man? He can climb like Spider-Man and release cobwebs. Isn't that Spider-Man? The person in charge said, "I watched some videos related to Spider-Man, and I estimated his height to be about 1.75 meters. He's a short guy, but the intruder is quite tall, almost there. So the intruder is definitely not Spider-Man, but someone else with spider abilities. After all, Ghost Spider also has spider abilities, so it's not surprising that there's another person with spider abilities." Upon hearing this, General Ross clenched his fists instantly. In that case, our lead is lost. We don't have any information about this mysterious person. Who is he? The person in charge next to him said, "The only clue we have is that he is extremely intelligent and has spider abilities." Combining these two, I thought of someone. General Ross suddenly looked at the person in charge. "Who?" The person in charge said, "Richard Parker, that young man who was once talented and had amazing achievements in genetics, especially in spider genes. It is highly likely that the current spider abilities originated from him." General Ross frowned slightly. "Isn't he dead?" The person in charge shook his head. "You forgot. He didn't die. He just disappeared. He hasn't appeared in the public eye for so many years. Disappearing doesn't mean he's dead. And his disappearance was too mysterious." General Ross fell silent when he heard the other party say that Richard's disappearance was too mysterious. As for how mysterious the disappearance was, neither of them mentioned it. The person in charge continued, "Someone so intelligent and with spider abilities, and even with electricity abilities. Only the genius geneticist of that year, Richard Parker, seems capable of achieving this." General Ross remained silent for a while before speaking. "We haven't found him in so many years. How can we find him now?" The person in charge spoke up. "We couldn't find him before because he didn't leave any traces. Now that he has appeared again, he will definitely leave clues. As long as we search diligently, we will definitely be able to find him. Moreover, we can monitor his son, Peter Parker. As long as Richard is born, he will definitely go visit his son." General Ross nodded. "You make a good point. Let's do as you said." The person in charge nodded. After a while, General Ross spoke up. "Do you think what the agents we sent out said was true? When Richard disappeared, did something really strange happen?" The person in charge spoke up. "Based on our posthumous testing of the agents, we found that they were not lying. So there are only 2 possibilities. Either they had illusions and mistakenly believed that the illusions were real, or they really saw everything. Upon hearing this, General Ross fell silent. As a result, the scene fell into silence once again. Suluo didn't know. On Ross's side, this time, he was no longer Spider-Man, and he directly upgraded to become Spider-Man's father. On the other side, Suluo and Luke Cage changed their disguises and entered the city. Suluo led Luke Cage through the blind spots of surveillance, heading towards his new secret laboratory. Luke Cage exclaimed, "It seems like you know every surveillance camera in the city." Suluo nodded slightly. "Yes, because I've studied them." Luke Cage couldn't help but sigh. "You're really smart. No wonder you're a researcher." Then he said, "You keep your word, right? I'll let you study for a few days, and then we're even." Suluo nodded. "Don't worry. I keep my word and honor my promises. After I obtain the relevant data from your body, you can leave." Luke Cage fell silent for a moment. "Where can I go?" "The military will definitely be looking for me." He looked at Suluo's back. "You were able to infiltrate the military to save me, defeat hatred, and successfully escape. I think you're capable. Can I join you?" It has to be said that Luke Cage's words immediately broadened his own path. Suluo didn't expect Luke Cage to make such a request. Luke Cage is powerful, and as a superhero, his character is also reliable. It would be quite good to have him as a subordinate. If he could gather a team of superhumans in his hands, they could help him deal with some things that the company and Kurt couldn't handle. After all, he already had an Electro in his hands, and adding Luke Cage wouldn't hurt. So Suluo pondered for a moment. "If you want to work under me, you must obey my orders." Luke Cage quickly nodded. "That's natural. Since I'm following you, you're my boss, my employer." Suluo nodded. "All right, let these few days pass first, then I'll make arrangements." Luke Cage grinned, rubbed the back of his head. "Okay." In a small farmhouse on the shore of the Great Lakes in northern United States, an old man and a young boy arrived at the door. They knocked on the door of the cabin. Soon, a woman with an ordinary face opened the door. Seeing the visitors, she was slightly stunned. "Logan? Why are you here? Weren't you always with Charles?" To prevent him from going berserk. "Who is this child? Do you have a daughter?" Upon hearing the other person's words, Wolverine remained silent for a moment before saying, "Charles will never go berserk again." Seeing Wolverine's expression, the woman covered her mouth slightly, her pupils trembling. Then, she let out a deep sigh, her eyes filled with sorrow. "Come in." Wolverine immediately led the little wolf girl into the house. After the woman entered, her face changed, becoming even more beautiful and voluptuous. Wolverine said, "Raven, after all this time, you still look the same. Tom has not left a trace on your face." Mystique smiled bitterly, "Mainly because my ability has not been weakened, allowing me to live longer." Then her expression became serious. "You came to find me. It can't be just for catching up, right?" Wolverine then told her about Suluo and what he had experienced before. Wolverine said, "Your shape-shifting ability and your ability to gather information far surpass mine. That's why I came to find you." Mystique said, "I have been in seclusion for many years. I don't want to get involved in the struggle anymore." Wolverine said, "Our race is on the verge of extinction, and these children are still living in great danger. Once they are found, they will be completely eliminated. And are you sure you can hide forever? Essex's technology is so advanced, and now that they have Caliban, do you think they will stop searching for mutants? With your powerful shape-shifting ability, do you think they won't covet it? If you don't help me today, then when mutants die one by one tomorrow, if you suffer, no one will be able to help you. If you help me, I'll help you. Only then can our race continue, and we can live better. Avoidance is never the solution, and shrinking is never the way out." Upon hearing Wolverine's words, Mystique fell silent for a moment. She nodded. "Okay, let's go find the person who can save our race according to legend." Then she asked, "Is Jean really dead?" Wolverine showed a pained expression and nodded. Mystique said, "What about her power? If we can find that ancient and powerful force, perhaps our race's problem can be solved." Wolverine shook his head. "That power has also disappeared, never to be seen again. Most importantly, that power has strong side effects. It will devour humanity. When the time comes, It will be the destruction of the entire human world, including us. Hearing this, she let out a sigh of relief. Okay, I'll get ready, and then we'll set off. And then, let's go to New York to find Colossus. The intelligence resources in New York are richer. Maybe there we can get the information we want. Okay, underground in New York. Black Sky sat cross-legged in a hexagram formation. Several elders of the Hand Society stood around, raising their hands and aiming at Black Sky, with black light flowing in between. The hexagram formation on the ground also began to flicker. Streams of black power flowed out of the hexagram formation and entered Black Sky's body. The next moment, Black Sky opened his eyes and took a deep breath. I smell your scent. Next, we will finally meet again. An elder next to him spoke. Leader, the power of the evil god has not fully integrated yet. Shouldn't we wait until the power is completely integrated before looking for that person? Black Sky shook his head. This power is already enough. Then she stood up. The hexagram formation immediately burst into flames and then disappeared. Shortly after, Su Luo and Su Luo arrived at Su Luo's secret laboratory. After entering the secret laboratory, they entered such a hidden underground room. Luke Cage instantly felt much safer. After Su Luo came in, his mood also became more excited. After all, the next step was to conduct the steel replication experiment. He would finally have a body harder than steel. After entering, Su Luo had Luke Cage lie on the operating table. Su Luo looked at the well-laid Luke Cage, his eyes satisfied, and nodded slightly. Very good. I don't know why. Luke Cage looked at Su Luo's eyes and suddenly felt a chill down his spine. He spoke. Boss, will this experiment be very painful? Su Luo shook his head. In my opinion, it won't be too painful. Hearing this, Luke Cage immediately breathed a sigh of relief. If Daredevil were here, he would probably feel a sense of DJVU. Then, Su Luo began to test Luke Cage, testing various aspects of his data. Although he had seen a corresponding data file of Luke Cage, Wong Hao, before at the base. But that was before the strengthening. In the laboratory, he also saw Luke Cage's corresponding data. But it was incomplete, so he had to test it again completely and thoroughly to obtain Luke Cage's latest and most complete data. Definitely, by mastering Luke Cage's previous data, along with the latest data, it would greatly reduce Su Luo's research time. He would be able to replicate Luke Cage's ability faster. Soon, Su Luo became busy, using various instruments to conduct comprehensive tests on Luke Cage. While testing, he began to develop a brand new surgical knife. Now, Luke Cage's body was too strong, and ordinary surgical knives were useless. So Su Luo planned to use lasers as surgical knives. Definitely, ordinary lasers wouldn't work, as they had already been tested before. He needed lasers with higher intensity, that is, lasers with higher power. Definitely, this was not difficult for Su Luo. After all, this world already had relatively mature laser weapon technology. Soon, a brand new laser surgical knife appeared in Su Luo's hands. It was very small, but had extremely high power. However, it consumed energy quite severely. The energy here in Su Luo's place couldn't sustain the consumption of this small laser surgical knife for too long. After obtaining the surgical knife, he began to dissect Luke Cage and conduct further exploration. The progress was very fast. It even far exceeded Su Luo's expectations. Definitely, the main credit was because he had the Tianxing data of June Cage, just as Su Luo was focused on his research. Suddenly, Su Luo heard a sound, and his pupils contracted. 093 power source. Spiritual defense. Just as Su Luo's research was entering the middle and later stages, his super hearing came into play. He heard a sound in the distance. He heard a group of people shouting, "Lord Evil God." Then he heard a girl's voice saying, "Integrate the power of the evil god." Hearing this conversation, Su Luo immediately thought of the Hand-in-Hand Society, because the people of the Hand-in-Hand Society referred to beasts as evil gods, and beasts also needed to integrate with the Black Void, and the one possessed was a young girl. In addition, this was the Hell's Kitchen. Su Luo could basically determine that the other party was the hand-in-hand society. If he had only heard these things, Su Luo wouldn't have had much emotional fluctuation. But when he heard Black Void say, "I can smell you. We will finally meet again," Su Luo's spine suddenly felt a chill. He felt that the other party was talking about him. After all, not long ago, the hand-in-hand society was still looking for him and sent people out. The beast seemed very interested in him. From this conversation, this time, Black Void was even prepared to take action personally, and it seemed that the other party might have already used secret techniques to find him. Su Luo murmured, "Is the interest in me that great? Although I'm also interested in you, I don't want to meet you yet. I didn't expect to meet you so soon. But before that, I need to prepare. I need to finish what I have in hand. Because I obtained the data before, the experiment of replicating the steel body is progressing very quickly and will soon be completed. I need to quickly complete the replication of the steel body so that my strength will be even stronger. This way, I will have an extra guarantee." Su Luo's hands were constantly moving, using instruments to analyze Luke Cage's body. At the same time, further experiments were conducted to deduce the role of the relevant parameters in Luke Cage's body. Furthermore, Black Void has not completed the integration with the beast, so the power is not complete. The power should not be too outrageous. But just to be safe, I should find someone familiar. The hand-in-hand society's mortal enemy is the True Pure Society. The True Pure Society has been able to fight against the hand-in-hand society for so many years, from ancient battles to the present. This shows that the True Pure Society should have a way to deal with Black Void. And the old man with the stick is a member of the True Pure Society, and he has been hunting Black Void. He even wanted to hunt down the Black Void that just integrated with 47. The old man with the stick and others from the True Pure Society cannot always hunt down a newly integrated Black Void. They must have strategies to deal with a stronger Black Void. I mentioned training with the old man with the stick before, but I never went. But fortunately, I left contact information. Immediately, Su Luo sent a message to the old man with the stick. After doing all this, at the same time, Su Luo's actions were also coming to an end. With the final completion experiment, combined with Luke Cage's original body data, he finally developed a brand new serum and matching supplements. Looking at the serum and supplements in front of him, Su Luo said, "According to my calculations, this thing not only allows me to have an iron body, but also further strengthens my power and breaks through the upper limit of my original power potential. The potential upper limit of the spider ability is 100 tons. With the support of the steel body serum, the upper limit will be increased by 130 tons, raising the limit by 30 tons. In other words, if I develop my power to the extreme, I will have a strength of 130 tons. In addition, my power will also receive huge amounts of strengthening. During this period of time, due to researching various things, my training has been neglected. My current strength is 24.5 tons. After the strengthening of the steel body serum, my strength will at least double. But the specific amount still needs to be tested later." Su Luo came to the other side of the operating table. He injected the serum and supplements into the corresponding syringes. Then the whole person lay on the operating table. Immediately after, he started the injection. Syringes were injected into his body in an instant. All the liquid was injected. Immediately after, Su Luo felt his body starting to heat up. His whole body was like a furnace. There was a raging flame burning inside his body. A high burning sensation came from within, from every cell, with a stronger sense of pain. Su Luo clenched his teeth. Immediately after, Su Luo could feel that every cell in his body seemed to be changing rapidly, becoming harder. The hardness of his body was also rapidly increasing. Meanwhile, he could feel his muscles strengthening rapidly, whether it was red muscles or white muscles. The burning sensation also became stronger. Su Luo felt like he was about to be engulfed by flames. His muscles all over his body were hot and crimson, veins popping out, and sweat soaked through his body. After a while, the pain slowly disappeared. Su Luo lay on the operating table, panting heavily. At this moment, he only felt a powerful explosive force surging out of every cell. At the same time, he felt that his muscles were even more solid. He understood he should have obtained a body even harder than steel. Su Luo felt the changes in himself, and a hint of joy surged in his heart. Great, it's finally done. He got off the operating table, picked up a surgical knife from the side, and slashed his arm. Suddenly, a clang sound was heard, as if the collision of gold and stone. Upon closer inspection, the blade of the surgical knife was curled, and there was not a trace left on his arm, not even a white mark. Su Luo saw this, and his eyes were filled with joy. In addition, Su Luo felt that his strength had undergone huge amounts of change. His strength had skyrocketed. He walked to the side. There was a strength testing device that had been prepared long ago. It could test strength up to 50 tons. Next, it's time to test my strength, Su Luo said with excitement in his tone. He immediately punched the strength testing device. Bang! The strength testing device was directly blasted with black smoke, and the numbers on the screen were jumping randomly. The strength testing device was completely scrapped by Su Luo. Su Luo saw this and was stunned for a moment. I didn't expect to blow up the strength testing device directly. It seems that my strength has exceeded 50 tons. Speaking of this, a look of joy appeared in Su Luo's eyes. He was extremely satisfied with this result. It seems that to test my true strength, I need to make a new strength testing device. This steel body serum is indeed very powerful. But if you want to know more about yourself, you still need to test it in detail later. Currently, he doesn't have the time for that, because he still has to deal with the upcoming Black Void. At this moment, Luke Cage, who was on the side, also woke up and let out a painful groan. Upon waking up, Luke Cage immediately felt intense pain all over his body. He felt as if his whole body was about to burst open. Su Luo spoke up, finally awake. Luke Cage felt the pain all over his body and said, "Boss, is this what you meant by different? Why do I feel so much pain?" Su Luo replied, "Is that so? From my perspective, it's not really that painful. If you want to experience it, I can let you feel real pain. Then you'll understand that this is not really that painful." Hearing Su Luo's words, Luke Cage's face turned slightly green. Experience even more pain? He quickly stopped the topic and asked, "Boss, is the data collection complete?" Su Luo nodded slightly. "It's complete." Luke Cage's face immediately showed a hint of joy. "So that means the experiment is over?" "Yes." Luke Cage breathed a sigh of relief, no longer having to endure the pain. At this moment, Su Luo spoke up. "Next, you have a mission to accomplish." Upon hearing this, Luke Cage quickly asked, "What mission?" "In a while, someone will come to attack, and I want you to go up and fight. The opponent appears to be a young girl, but there is a demon residing within her, so you can't be careless." Upon hearing this, Luke Cage's face became serious. "A demon? Are there really such things in the world?" Su Luo nodded. "Naturally. In this vast world, there is nothing that doesn't exist." Luke Cage nodded. "All right, I'll come and deal with this demon in a moment." Just at that moment, outside the secret laboratory, there was a knocking sound on the door. On the screen, the situation outside was displayed. An old man stood at the entrance of the basement. It was Stick. Su Luo immediately opened the door and let him in. After coming down, Stick's expression was solemn. "Is it really the Black Void?" Su Luo nodded. "There is a high probability that it is the Black Void. Since the last time, the Hand has been looking for me, and they even found me halfway and fought with me. This time, the Black Void is preparing to take action themselves." Upon hearing this, Stick's expression became serious. This time, many homeless people have disappeared in New York. They must have been captured by the Hand and turned into sacrifices. With the blessing of sacrifices, the speed of integration between the Void and the Monk will greatly increase. In this way, the integration between the Black Void and the Beast will definitely advance even further. I wonder if they have completed a complete integration. If they have completed a complete integration, then we are probably no match for them. Su Luo said, "They haven't completed a complete integration." Stick looked at Su Luo. "How do you know?" Su Luo said, I obtained this information through special channels. Stick said, if they haven't completely integrated, then we still have a chance. Black voids that haven't completely integrated mostly rely on their powerful bodies in battle. Possesses powerful speed and destructive power. Unable to use too many secret techniques of the beasts. And at this stage, as long as the black void is killed, the beast will enter a period of sleep. If completely integrated, the black void becomes very difficult to kill. Not only is it powerful and skilled in secret techniques, but can also be resurrected multiple times. The old man with a stick spoke up. By the way, the black void can use a secret technique that utilizes sound to release mental intimidation, causing people to lose their ability to act. Especially when facing someone head-on, the impact is the greatest. However, before complete integration, the black void will have a long cooldown period after using the secret technique. Suluo listened up to this point and furrowed his brows slightly. What should we do? Use earplugs or something to block our ears? Although he had a certain mental resistance, he wasn't sure if he could withstand the mental impact from the black void. The old man with a stick shook his head. Ordinary earplugs are useless. This kind of sound primarily affects the mental level. We have a special meditation technique that can temporarily enhance mental protection and resist the mental impact of the main black void. It involves condensing the loosely scattered spirit throughout the body into a solid iron plate in order to increase the defense of the mind. This meditation technique only requires complete concentration and can even be used during battle. He glanced at Su Luo and Luke Cage. I'll leave it to you two now. Immediately, he began to explain and demonstrate. The old man with a stick explained in great detail. In no time, he finished the demonstration. Luke Cage stood still in place. Can you explain a few more times? It's too complicated. I can't remember the breathing rhythm at all. The frequency is too difficult to memorize. I can't remember it at all. Su Luo, on the other hand, began to learn this new meditation technique. Soon enough, he entered a completely new state. He felt that all of his spirit had condensed into one, gathering into a solid iron plate, which was originally as soft as cotton. Hard and solid. He understood. He had already mastered this meditation technique to enhance mental power. The old man with a stick looked at Su Luo's breathing rhythm and nodded slightly. For Su Luo to quickly grasp it, the old man with a stick had already experienced it once, so he could accept it to some extent. Luke Cage, who was beside them, was stunned by this scene. You learned it. Did you really learn something so complicated, boss? The old man with a stick sighed. There's no way. You must be a genius. The old man with a stick then said, Next, we will have to deal with the approaching black void. Su Luo looked at Luke Cage. You go first. Luke Cage was stunned. Me? But I don't know how to resist mental attacks. Su Luo nodded slightly. I know. The main goal is to let you consume the mental intimidation of the black void. I'll go up later. As the frontal impact is the greatest, even with a mental resistance technique, Su Luo decided to let Luke Cage go first for safety reasons. Luke Cage nodded. He nodded, just at that moment. Su Luo's ears twitched slightly. He heard a rapidly approaching sound. The other party's speed was extremely fast, heading straight towards his direction and about to arrive. Su Luo narrowed his eyes slightly. Here it comes. Boom! The basement door was directly blasted open. A figure shot straight towards the basement at high speed. 094 Shocking Girl Kurizora. Cabernet Alloy. On the other side, after school, Peter walked on the road with his best friend, seemingly chatting and laughing. But Peter inadvertently furrowed his brows, because he could sense that someone was following him, monitoring him. In his mind, he muttered, What's going on? Why are people following me? And there's more than one. He glanced over without attracting attention. With his strong observation skills, Peter quickly noticed the differences among these people. Their movements were strong and powerful, full of professionalism, obviously not ordinary people, more like soldiers. Seeing this, Peter's heart sank. Could it be that my Spider-Man identity has been exposed? It shouldn't be. I'm usually quite careful. Let's observe these guys first. I have to be even more cautious in my actions from now on. Whoosh! A figure instantly crossed from the entrance above the basement to the lower level. The figure looked somewhat thin. It was none other than the girl Hei Kong. However, at the moment, she looked different from when Su Luo had seen her before. Her bald head had grown hair, which now fell to her shoulders. With her delicate face, she looked like a girl next door, wearing a black kimono. She had a charm reminiscent of Japanese women, but her face was filled with coldness, emitting an icy aura, completely different from the gentle Japanese women. On both sides of her slender waist hung 2 swords, and she also carried a sword on her back. Su Luo instantly noticed the sword behind her. He also had the dual swords hanging from his waist, which he had picked up from a ninja. They were standard ninja weapons. Made of strong alloy, they were extremely sharp. But the sword behind her was different from the standard ninja weapon. Su Luo had a premonition that this sword was probably not an ordinary alloy blade. She looked at Su Luo and said, "Finally, we meet again." Su Luo nodded and said, "It's truly fate. Why are you here?" Hei Kong calmly said, "To capture you and take you back. Your body is very active and can serve as the next vessel for the evil god. With your body, the evil god can unleash even more powerful strength, and your body can be used for a long time. It's a very good vessel." Upon hearing this, Su Luo spoke up, "Then let's see if you have the ability." Hei Kong raised her hand and said, "Dealing with a few humans, I have more than enough strength." After saying that, Hei Kong immediately shot towards the 3 of them. Su Luo said, "Charge." Upon receiving the command, Luke Cage immediately dashed out like an arrow leaving the bow. Su Luo and the old man retreated repeatedly while instantly activating their mental resistance technique. Their spirits instantly condensed into iron blocks, becoming extremely solid. In Su Luo's view, even if Luke Cage was intimidated or even injured by the enemy, it wouldn't be a big problem. After all, he had the lizard enhancement serum to help Luke Cage. But if he himself was knocked down as the strongest of the 3, then the battle would truly be over. Seeing Luke Cage charging towards her, Hei Kong sneered, "Useless." Clang! She instantly drew 2 swords with her hands, and a cold light bloomed, making the surrounding air seem colder. Seeing this, Su Luo quickly took out a few buttons from his waist and shot them out. Hei Kong sensed this and quickly moved her hands, slicing the 2 mechanical buttons in half. The destroyed mechanical buttons emitted black smoke and a few electric arcs. 2 mechanical buttons were cut off, leaving 2 remaining. 2 buttons were stuck on the blade separately. Immediately, 2 powerful electric currents erupted. In an instant, they engulfed the darkness. Seeing this, the stick's eyes lit up. Well done. But in the next moment, they saw the darkness rushing out from the electric current without any injuries. Seeing this, the old man's face slightly changed. It seems that the level of integration is already very high. This electric current has no effect on her anymore. Su Luo saw this and nodded slightly. His mechanical button was capable of knocking down the Rhino Man directly. But the darkness was unharmed. It can be seen that the physical fitness of the darkness is indeed very strong, surpassing the previous Rhino Man completely. Luke Cage and the darkness finally collided. The darkness moved quickly, and 2 arcs of water-cooled hardness slashed towards Luke Cage. The sharp swords easily cut through Luke Cage's clothes and landed on his skin. Clang! The sound of metal colliding. The double-edged blade of darkness couldn't go any further. Seeing this scene, the darkness frowned instantly. Indestructible. This body is so tough. Luke Cage's attack came. A punch struck towards the darkness. The darkness crossed the 2 swords in front of her, and Luke Cage's fist struck the blade. Pung! The darkness was instantly shot backwards. She flipped several times in the air and finally landed steadily on the ground. Seeing this, the darkness sneered, "Indeed, a very tough body. But it's still not enough." Only to see black aura emanating from the darkness's hands, like poisonous snakes, climbing along the blade. As the black aura climbed, the blade immediately emitted a more chilling cold light. A sharper and more solid feeling overflowed from the blade. The stick spoke, She has enhanced the sharpness of the blade with secret techniques. The two figures clashed again, colliding once more. Clang, clang, clang. The blade and the flesh collided, producing a continuous crisp sound, as if two weapons were clashing. The darkness slashed several times in a row, sparks flying, but still couldn't cut through Luke Cage's flesh. The stick beside him saw this scene. Damn, this kid's body is too tough. The blades of the hand are already incredibly sharp, and with a secret technique, the sharpness has reached an astonishing level. But they still can't cut through this kid's body. The stick saw this scene, and both of his eyes almost popped out. Su Luo, who was beside him, saw this scene and was very satisfied. After all, the stronger Luke Cage's body, the stronger his own body. Being able to continuously withstand the darkness's attacks, Su Luo felt that his physical strength was indeed sufficient. The more the darkness slashed, the deeper her frown became. She never expected that the opponent's body would be so strong. Her invincible blade technique unexpectedly failed here. Although Luke Cage's body could withstand the blade, he still felt a tingling sensation. The tingling made him grit his teeth slightly. He angrily counterattacked, and his fists and feet rained down, striking towards the darkness. Under the powerful attacks of the two, the ground cracked, and the surrounding tables, chairs, and instruments were easily torn apart. In the end, Luke Cage pushed the darkness back repeatedly and sent the darkness flying several meters away once again. However, from this, it can also be seen that He Kong's physical fitness is indeed strong, as he was able to fight against the 50-ton strength of Luke Cage for so long without feeling too suppressed. Upon seeing this, He Kong coldly said, "Your physical strength is indeed somewhat unexpected." Luke Cage grinned and said, "Sorry, I only have the advantage of being tough." He Kong coldly said, "But still not enough." After saying that, He Kong dropped two blades. One hand drew a knife from behind. A cold light overflowed from the blade, making it feel extremely cold. It seemed that a chilling aura was emanating from it, and the light on the blade was flowing. Anyone with keen eyes could see the extraordinary nature of this blade. He Kong said, "Next, you won't have a chance to fight back. This blade was originally meant for you, but unexpectedly, someone else will be the first to taste it." He Kong glanced at Su Luo. After saying that, He Kong rushed forward. Seeing He Kong's knife, Luke Cage clearly felt a hint of danger. He quickly tried to dodge, but He Kong opened her mouth. A piercing sound flew out from her mouth. Luke Cage immediately trembled and stood still. Su Luo and the old man with the stick nearby also felt a mental shock. However, it couldn't have much impact on their solid spirits. They only felt a slightly piercing sound. He Kong thrust the knife forward. Pust! Instantly, it pierced through Luke Cage's abdomen. Blood dripped from the tip of the knife. This time, He Kong's blade finally broke through Luke Cage's incredibly tough body. This scene made the old man with the stick widen his eyes and say, "What material is this blade made of? It's so powerful that it easily pierced through Luke Cage's body." Su Luo narrowed his eyes. This blade was indeed not simple, just as he had expected. It was able to break through Luke Cage's body, indicating that the blade was definitely made of an extremely hard metal. However, Su Luo was not worried about Luke Cage. After all, he had only been stabbed once, which was not a big deal. With Luke Cage's self-healing ability, he would soon stabilize his injuries. He Kong pushed Luke Cage's body down and then looked at Su Luo. "Come with me, and you can reduce some pain," He Kong said. Su Luo replied, "You stay, I'm actually quite interested in you." "Flowers, please." "You stay. Let me study you carefully." He Kong's face turned even colder as she snorted. Then she shot out and rushed toward Su Luo. Su Luo waved his hand, and the cobweb pulled the vibranium shield into his hand. He Kong sneered, "An ordinary shield can't possibly block my blade." Su Luo also rushed forward and started fighting against He Kong. Clang, clang, clang. The two weapons clashed. Sparks flew. Everything around them was shattered by the shock waves. He Kong saw that Su Luo's shield could actually block her blade, and her eyebrows furrowed. She didn't expect that the shield would be so hard enough to rival her blade. With Su Luo's speed, which was much faster than Luke Cage's and the shield, the two fought at a rapid pace. Hei Kong could hardly touch Su Luo's body. The more Hei Kong fought, the more alarmed she became. She never expected that the other party could match her, who had integrated the power of the evil god in terms of both speed and strength. Su Luo unleashed a shield and slammed it into the black void, sending it crashing into the wall. The black void fell to the ground, with a trace of blood at the corner of its mouth. The old man with a stick beside him widened his eyes and exclaimed, "Damn, I thought that black kid's power was already outrageous, but I didn't expect this kid's power to be even more outrageous. And he can fight the black void, which can integrate with depth to this extent and even suppress the opponent. Damn, what kind of monster is this kid?" Engaging in battle with demons as a mortal, Su Luo looked at the black void that was knocked away and felt a slight relief in his heart. For now, it seemed that he could still suppress the opponent, otherwise he would have to turn into an electric current and escape. Su Luo prepared to quickly end the battle and completely disable the black void's fighting ability. He shot out and once again clashed with the void. Boom! The ground exploded, the floor cracked inch by inch, and some nearby instruments and equipment were all blasted away in all directions. The old man with a stick looked at the things flying towards him and quickly dodged, saying, "Standing so far away and still affecting me, damn, these two monsters." Luke Cage, lying on the ground bleeding, was hit by one thing after another. Bang, bang, bang. His uncontrollable body was constantly hit by objects, reflexively bouncing a few times, like a dead fish being struck. Seeing this, the old man with a stick felt some sympathy, saying, "Unconscious and still suffering like this." As Su Luo relentlessly bombarded, the black void's body became more and more scarred. The black void, in turn, attacked Su Luo, exchanging injuries for injuries. Finally, she sees an opportunity and cut Su Luo's body. For a wound, Su Luo wouldn't have paid much attention. But as the opponent's knife cut open his skin, Su Luo's face suddenly changed. He looked at his own skin, blood continuously seeping out. The wound didn't heal immediately. The healing speed has greatly decreased. His healing ability has been suppressed. He looked at the opponent's knife. His expression froze. Seeing Su Luo's expression, Hei Kong smiled and said, "Do you feel that your self-healing ability has been suppressed?" "Yes, my knife has the ability to suppress self-healing." Su Luo spoke, "Carbonana alloy." Carbonana alloy, also known as carbon steel alloy. It is an extremely hard metal, belonging to the category of supermetals along with vibranium and adamantium. Although carbonana alloy cannot match vibranium and adamantium in terms of hardness, as a supermetal, its hardness is still unimaginable. Hardness is not the true value of this alloy. Its greatest function is to suppress self-healing. Deadpool's blades are made of this alloy. Hei Kong nodded. "I didn't expect you to know about this alloy. As I said, this knife was made to restrain you, to greatly weaken your physical activity and suppress your self-healing ability." Su Luo looked at Luke Cage beside him, who was still bleeding. Luke Cage's original self-healing ability was not outstanding, and being stabbed like this, he would easily go into shock from the bleeding. So Su Luo understood that he had to finish the fight quickly. Su Luo originally thought that he wouldn't need to use his electric ability, but unexpectedly, he had to use his ultimate move. The two of them charged at each other again. Clang! The knife and shield collided, and electric arcs burst from Su Luo's body. Seeing this, Kong suddenly felt a chill. She even wanted to retreat immediately. "It's too late," Su Luo said. His eyes narrowed, and he instantly activated all the stored electricity in his body. Boom! Full power of electricity. 095 imprisoned black sky and evil god, dealing with Cabernet wounds. Su Luo emitted a terrifying electric current. It was blindingly bright. Like a rising sun, everyone around instantly closed their eyes. Even with their eyes closed, they still felt temporary blindness and eye stinging. Immediately after, the terrifying electric current surged like a towering wave, entering the body of Hei Kong. The massive electric current instantly engulfed Hei Kong's body. This was a powerful force capable of stunning even the most detestable. Knocking out an incompletely formed Hei Kong was more than enough. A scream rang out. Hei Kong's delicate body trembled, her eyes rolled back, and she fell to the ground, unconscious. White smoke rose from her body, with small electric arcs crackling. Seeing this, Su Luo picked up the knife in the other person's hand and said, "A very good knife, it's mine now." Su Luo kicked the girl's face with his foot, but she didn't move at all, completely unconscious. Her eyes rolled back, her tongue slightly sticking out, hanging from the corner of her mouth, no longer the arrogant appearance she had just had. Su Luo then took out 3 mechanical buttons from his body, which were nerve toxins. "With 3 of these, you'll be paralyzed for at least half a day." After saying that, he injected them into the girl. He muttered, "Very good. I'm also very curious about what valuable things I can find from you later. I wonder if I can find the demon beast inside you. I wonder what could be researched from Beast's body." Regarding this, Su Luo was quite looking forward to it. After all, he had been interested in Beast before. Being able to establish a long-lasting and well-known organization like Shihewi, Beast couldn't be underestimated. And the primitive demon, it sounded extraordinary. It was estimated to be a high-ranking demon. After finishing all this, he looked at Luke Cage lying next to 060. He walked over and found some bandages from the ruins and wrapped them around Luke Cage. After doing all this, he saw Stick picking up a knife and walking towards Hei Kong. Su Luo quickly said, "What are you doing?" Stick replied without hesitation, "Naturally, I'm going to kill her. What else? Killing her will silence Beast for a while. I'll also have some peace and quiet for a while." Su Luo shook his head. "We can't kill her." Stick looked at Su Luo in surprise. "What? Are you planning to keep her captive and do research on her?" Su Luo's eyes were serious. "Yes." Stick's tone instantly rose. "You want to keep a demon captive? And a primitive demon at that?" Stick felt that the kid in front of him was going crazy. He actually wanted to keep a demon captive. To keep a terrifying demon captive. What a bizarre idea. How audacious. Su Luo said seriously, "In this world, everything can be kept captive. Everything can be researched. Even demons. As long as there is the ability to bind them, then they're no different from lab rats." Seeing Su Luo's serious gaze, Stick suddenly understood that he wasn't joking. He was a little stunned. Then he smiled bitterly. "You really are a monster, kid. With you around, it seems I won't be able to kill this guy. But let me warn you first, this guy is very dangerous. She hasn't fully integrated with Beast yet. Once she integrates, you might not be able to suppress her." Su Luo said, "It's okay. I will do my best to suppress her. If I can't, I will find a way to kill her." The old man nodded. "All right. By the way, you still need to practice your combat skills. Just now, you completely crushed Hei Kong after upgrading your combat skills." Su Luo said, "Understood. I will come to you for guidance later." The old man grumbled. "All right. Since you have already taken care of Hei Kong, I will leave first. I want to help you clean up this mess." After saying that, the old man quickly left. Su Luo looked at the ruined basement and said, "A perfectly good laboratory destroyed. There are no conditions here to treat Luke Cage. I need to find a new place." Immediately, Su Luo carried the 2 of them and rushed towards his new secret laboratory. Not bad. Su Luo has a new laboratory. Just in case, Su Luo also had Kurt prepare a backup laboratory. Soon, Su Luo arrived at the backup laboratory. After entering, Su Luo immediately placed Luke Cage on the operating table. He quickly began examining Luke Cage's wound. Luke Cage's original self-healing ability can only be considered average, at most the level of a company's adhesive bandage. Now, after being cut by the carbonadium alloy knife, his self-healing ability instantly plummeted, almost losing his self-healing ability. The wound had not healed and was still bleeding. Even Luke Cage's lips were pale. Su Luo did not directly inject the lizard optimization serum into Luke Cage, because at this moment, the self-healing ability of the wound was suppressed. Even if the optimization serum was used, the self-healing effect of the serum would be greatly suppressed. It would be difficult to have a good effect. To treat Luke Cage, it was necessary to first understand what had happened to his wound and how to further treat it. Su Luo quickly began his examination, carefully observing the microscopic images and data of the wound. Near the wound, there's a special substance that prevents platelets from gathering to block the wound. This is also why the wound has not healed and the bleeding has not stopped. In addition, the combat effectiveness of the white blood cells in the blood has also been greatly affected, unable to fight against the bacteria invading the wound, leading to a large proliferation of bacteria and even the beginning of infection. Furthermore, the division and regeneration speed of cells at the wound site has greatly decreased, unable to form new cells to compensate for the defective areas. These special substances should be the inhibitory substances produced by the carbonadium alloy when causing the wound. I must remove these special substances, otherwise the wound will not heal properly. Su Luo began to take action, searching for a method to deal with the special substances. Soon, Su Luo discovered that these special substances were suppressed by high-power lasers in a specific range. High-power lasers could easily remove these special substances. Su Luo calculated the energy required for this type of laser. Su Luo muttered to himself while starting to work. First set the Planck constant, then set the frequency, and then start calculating the energy. The energy of photons is calculated using EHV, where h is the Planck constant and v is the frequency. The higher the frequency, the higher the energy. Soon, with Su Luo's calculations, he knew the specific parameters of the new surgical knife. Therefore, Su Luo once again made a high-power surgical knife. He began to treat Luke Cage's wound. Su Luo carefully treated the wound. Through the instrument, it could be seen that all the wounds had been treated and there was no trace of the special substances left. After Su Luo finished treating the special substances through a special microscope, Su Luo could clearly see that the platelets had regained their vitality and began to block the damaged blood vessels. The bleeding began to stop. In addition, the white blood cells began to fight fiercely, eliminating the bacteria, and the cells at the wound site began to rapidly divide and heal. Su Luo looked at Luke Cage's wound again. The bleeding has stopped and scabs are starting to form slowly. Seeing this, Su Luo let out a sigh of relief, finally resolved. Next, with Luke Cage's self-healing ability, these injuries will heal soon. Su Luo immediately took out a bottle of oral trauma medicine and gave it to the other person to take. With the trauma medicine and Luke Cage's self-healing ability, it is estimated that after a good night's sleep, everything will be fine tomorrow. After completing these tasks, Su Luo's gaze fell on the black sky next to him again. He must imprison the black sky. The power of the black sky is quite strong and requires special equipment. Otherwise, it cannot be suppressed at all. Su Luo immediately began to make devices to restrain the black sky. Soon, a brand new workbench appeared. Su Luo placed the black sky on it. Immediately, specially designed super alloy locks were used to lock the black sky's neck, hands, waist, and feet. The force exerted by the black sky will be transmitted to the entire workbench through these locks, and the design inside the workbench will neutralize this force. The new alloy locks are more than enough to restrain the black sky. After completing these tasks, Su Luo did not immediately start studying the black sky. He decided to settle Luke Cage first. He made a phone call. Find me a hidden house. Okay, boss, I'll get back to you soon. These days, the company's wound patches have been launched and caused a huge sensation. Many people wanted to counterfeit the company's wound patches, but they found that the effect of these wound patches is indeed as advertised. As a result, the powerful wound patches instantly became the first choice for countless people after getting injured. After all, everyone wants their wounds to heal quickly after getting injured, especially for some hospitals that need to treat wounds. Osborne's wound patches and bandages are the best products. As a result, many hospitals purchased Osborne's self-healing products, creating a significant sales area. Although Osborne's wound patches are more expensive than ordinary ones, it didn't stop people from buying them. especially when they discovered that Osborn's wound patches do not leave scars after healing. This attracted even more people to pursue them. In just a few days, Osborn's stocks kept rising, and the stock price doubled continuously. It even surpassed Osborn's peak period in the past. But this is just the end. It's just the beginning. Osborn instantly transformed from a bankrupt company into a rising star in the medical field, becoming the subject of discussion for countless people. And Sue Luo's net worth constantly skyrocketed, becoming richer and richer. In no time, Kurt replied to Sue Luo's message and found a hidden house. Immediately, Sue Luo brought Luke Cage to that house. At the moment, Luke Cage also woke up. Sue Luo spoke. From now on, you will live here. Unless necessary, don't go out for now. Food and other things will be delivered by someone, so you don't have to worry. If there are any tasks, I will let you know. Luke Cage nodded. Okay. Luke Cage asked, by the way, is there a computer game console here? I want to play some games when I'm bored. Sue Luo nodded. There's a computer game console and a projector here. If there's anything else you need, send me a message when the time comes. After saying that, Sue Luo handed a brand new phone to Luke Cage. Luke Cage nodded. All right. After completing these tasks, Sue Luo left. He immediately returned to the secret laboratory. After coming back, he directly turned on the computer. After entering a series of codes, monitor screens popped up one by one. In the monitors, soldiers walked by, military vehicles and tanks were parked, and helicopters were flying. These monitors were all from that military base. When Sue Luo invaded the control room, he continuously tampered with the permissions and secretly left the back door. This made it convenient for him to sneak in at any time and observe the situation of the entire military base. The reason he left a back door was to observe Zheng Wu. Yes, it was to observe Zheng Wu, because Zheng Wu was also one of his replication targets. He definitely didn't want to replicate the other person's appearance and size. He just wanted to replicate the other person's super strength. In reality, what Sue Luo wanted to replicate even more was Hulk's super strength. Unfortunately, Hulk left Earth in Avengers, Age of Ultron, flying a spaceship towards the universe. He might have arrived at that interstellar fighting arena by now. So currently, there was no way for him to replicate Hulk. Therefore, he could only settle for replicating Zheng Wu's super strength. Sue Luo hoped to research fighters like Hulk and Zheng Wu, who possessed pure physical strength, in order to find a way to further strengthen his own power, to further enhance his own strength. Definitely. Now, Sue Luo is preparing to take action against Zheng. He plans to first replicate the invisible position of the invisible makeup 1.7, because replicating this is easier and less difficult to achieve. However, Sue Luo is still planning to monitor Zheng Yin. Otherwise, if he wants to find Zheng Yin later but can't, that would be troublesome. Sue Luo began to browse the surveillance and search for information. Soon enough, Sue Luo found some useful information. Zheng Yin is usually imprisoned in a secret research facility underground in New York. He was recently called out by General Ross. Inside the command room of the base, General Ross and Bronsky are standing in it. By observing the lip movements of General Ross and Bronsky, Sue Luo inferred their conversation. For the next period of time, you will stay in the base temporarily. I will send people to search for Carl and that stranger. Once they are found, it will be your time to take action. I hope you won't make any mistakes this time and can bring them back. This time, we will customize a set of insulated battle suits for you to avoid the opponent's electric attacks. Bronsky's face turned dark, nodding. Don't worry. Next time I will definitely catch them. Seeing this, Sue Luo nodded. So he will be staying at the base for a while. In that case, I don't need to spend time searching anymore. He immediately made another call. What's the situation on the side of the invisible woman? The voice of the Electro-Man came from the other end of the phone. There's no situation at the moment, boss. Sue Luo had already released Electro-Man to monitor the Invisible Woman and the Fantastic Four. Then Electro-Man spoke again. There is no problem on the side of the Invisible Woman, but I'm afraid something has happened on the side of the Human Torch. Sue Luo asked what happened. When Electro-Man finished speaking, Sue Luo raised an eyebrow. Chapter 3 is here. Please give me your full support with monthly votes and reviews. 096 Special Rays. Capture and guide the power of demons. Su Luo spoke up. Are you saying that someone secretly took a ray gun and shot Thunderfire? Then Thunderfire started acting strange. Electric Man quickly replied, Yes, boss. Su Luo asked, In what way was he acting strange? Electric Man pondered for a moment, seemingly searching for a way to describe it. How should I put it? Although he has always been arrogant, which I find annoying, but after being hit, he seems to be even more critical of others, and his temper has become more impulsive and irritable. Just now, Mr. Fantastic mentioned wanting to conduct a test on Thunderfire to obtain his latest data. As a result, Thunderfire immediately got angry, saying that daily tests are useless. And then he had a big argument with Mr. Fantastic. Invisible Woman and Thing both said that Thunderfire exploded like a bomb. Hearing this, Su Luo pondered for a moment. It seems that this ray can affect people's emotions and make them more irritable. Okay, continue monitoring, and if there are any problems, let me know. Electric Man quickly replied, Yes, boss. On the other side, Electric Man put down his phone and walked out of the room. His mother was on the balcony, lying on a lounge chair, swaying back and forth, sunbathing and listening to a radio leisurely. He looked around the room. It was spacious and clean, with everything in it. Seeing Electric Man come out, his mother smiled and said, Son, your boss assigned this house. It's really nice. You've really made something of yourself. Upon hearing his mother's words, Electric Man touched the back of his head and chuckled. Indeed, this new boss is really good. Mom, you don't have to be too frugal anymore. Your son now has a good salary, so you can buy whatever you want. His mother scolded. What can an old lady like me spend money on? I don't have many needs. You save up the money yourself, find a good partner, and have a child. That's when your mom will truly be happy. Hearing his mother's words, Electric Man helplessly said, I'll go back to my room and continue working. After saying that, he slipped back into the room, while his mother continued to sway and sunbathe, listening to the radio. Electric Man was very satisfied with his current life. As long as he hid in the shadows and secretly gathered information for his boss, he could earn a good salary, and he had a nice house to live in. He approached the power line and instantly transformed into an electric current, rushing into the wire and quickly reaching his destination to continue his surveillance. In a laboratory, after Su Luo hung up the phone with Electric Man, he walked to the side and began modifying the power testing device. The previous one was smashed by a punch, so he still didn't know how much strength he had. After a while, Su Luo finally strengthened the power testing device. The testing range could now reach 70 tons. Modification complete. Su Luo let out a breath and said, Next, let's see how much my strength has increased. After speaking, he threw a punch. The air burst. Boom! The entire power device shook a few times. Immediately, the numbers on the screen started rapidly increasing. 10 tons. In the end, the number stopped at 61 tons. Seeing the numbers he had generated, Su Luo's face showed a slight smile. 61 tons. I didn't expect that this wave of steel body replication has brought me an even stronger body. It has also greatly improved my body, directly increasing from 24.5 tons to 61 tons. A direct increase of 36.5 tons. More than doubled. Su Luo retracted his fist, feeling the explosive power in his body, quite satisfied. But this is still not enough. Only 61 tons. My potential limit has already been raised to 130 tons. In other words, I have only tapped into less than half of it, and I still need to continue working hard. After testing his own strength, his attention returned to Hei Kong. He came to the sleeping Hei Kong and murmured, Next, let me see what research value you have. After saying that, Su Luo began to work on Hei Kong, conducting research and testing. As Su Luo continued his research, soon, Su Luo discovered that there was a strange and powerful energy zone within Hei Kong's body. This energy strengthened Hei Kong's body, allowing Hei Kong's body to reach a height it shouldn't have reached. Without the support of this energy, Hei Kong would not be able to possess such a powerful force zone. In addition, This energy is deeply intertwined with Hei Kong's body cells. This energy has invaded every cell of Hei Kong. Those cells have also undergone some subtle changes. They no longer resemble human body cells. However, during Su Luo's testing, he did not find any traces of demons. He did not find any other life forms within Hei Kong's body. So, demons cannot be detected by my equipment. Su Luo murmured, or the beast is not inside Hei Kong's body. Just at this moment, Hei Kong slowly woke up. Opening her eyes, she looked at Su Luo. Su Luo calmly glanced at the awakened Hei Kong, not paying attention, but continued to study that strange energy. Because in Su Luo's opinion, if he could uncover the secret of this energy and even transfer it into his own body, then his body would also be strengthened, and his strength would become even stronger. Just at this moment, Hei Kong's eyes suddenly changed. The whites of her eyes disappeared, and her eyes became pitch black, looking somewhat terrifying. Su Luo raised an eyebrow when he saw this. At this moment, Hei Kong spoke. "You are interesting, daring to imprison my host. Do you know? By doing this, you are also imprisoning me." Hearing the tone of the other party, Su Luo instantly understood that he was talking to the beast, the original demon. Su Luo spoke, "I know, that's why I imprison Hei Kong. I really want to understand what changes have occurred in a human possessed by a demon. To understand what exactly the demon inside Hei Kong's body is." As Su Luo spoke, he used the equipment to test Hei Kong again. At that moment, the beast appeared. He just wanted to see if he could detect the presence of the beast from Hei Kong's body. After the detection, Su Luo found that there was more of that special energy inside Hei Kong's body, especially in Hei Kong's brain. It was enveloped in a rich special energy. Other than that, no other conditions were found. Seeing this, Su Luo speculated in his heart. It seems that the beast is using this energy to control Hei Kong's speech. After hearing Su Luo's words, the beast did not get angry, but spoke. "You are indeed interesting, human. I have seen so many people, but I have never seen someone like you. Not only are you not afraid of me, but you also want to study me. You should have seen the powerful force inside Hei Kong's body, right? It has transformed Hei Kong from an ordinary person into an incredibly powerful being. If you want, I can make you even stronger." Su Luo asked, "What kind of power is that?" The beast replied, "That is my demonic power. It can greatly enhance the physical qualities of humans. The stronger the physical qualities of a person, the greater the enhancement they will receive. At the same time, humans can also use this power to perform demonic techniques. If you are willing, I can choose to possess you and make you even stronger." The beast continued enticingly. "As an original demon, the power I possess far exceeds your imagination. Once you become my host, you will become stronger and stronger, surpassing your imagination. You can even slay gods. Whether it's the gods of Asgard or the beings in the almighty city, they're no match for you." Upon hearing the beast's words, Su Luo shook his head. He didn't believe the words of a demon. After all, in the Marvel world, demons were notorious for their lies, and they were known to enjoy playing tricks on humans for their own amusement. They often did things that harmed others and were not beneficial to themselves. Su Luo said, "I currently have no intention of being possessed. By the way, what does original demon mean?" The beast replied, "An original demon is the first demon, the first batch of demons. They are also the most powerful demons." Su Luo asked, "The most powerful demons? Why can't I sense your power? Are you stronger than the demons who rule over the Hell Dimension and the Dark Dimension?" Upon hearing Su Luo's words, the beast suddenly stopped speaking. Seeing this, Su Luo immediately understood. "It seems that you are no match for those dimension rulers, right?" The beast sneered. "I didn't expect you to know so much. You even know about the Hell Dimension and the Dark Dimension. I may indeed be inferior to them now, but that doesn't mean I won't surpass them in the future. If you're willing to become my servant and contribute more power to me, then one day I will stand to the highest position again. At that time, you will become my walker in the mortal world, possessing unmatched power." The beast tempted Su Luo. "What do you think? Do you want to become my host? Suluo ignored it and said, if I were to integrate this demonic power into someone else's body, would it also have a strengthening effect? The beast felt a little annoyed after talking for so long, realizing that this guy wasn't listening at all. All his attention was focused on the experiment. It felt slightly irritated. Are you even listening to me? Don't you want to become stronger? Don't you want to become invincible? Suluo repeated his question. If I were to integrate this demonic power into someone else's body, would it also have a strengthening effect? It almost got angry. This guy completely ignored its words. It suppressed its anger and said, the power of the demon, once integrated into the human body, will make a person stronger. But without my control, the power of the demon will affect the person's mind. It will make them more violent, turning them into a killing machine. Don't even think about using this power of the demon. It is all dark power. Unless controlled by a high-level demon, it will corrupt the human heart. Suluo continued. Is there any way to eliminate the side effects of this power of the demon? Hearing this, the beast replied angrily, no. Immediately, the beast continued to entice Suluo, painting a tempting picture of the emperor's power. Suluo didn't say much and continued to focus on his own experiment, allowing the other party to chatter on the side. Seeing Suluo completely ignoring him, treating him as if he were invisible, the beast became angry. It shouted loudly, about to break free from the chains and show Suluo its true colors. Unfortunately, it was futile. The alloy chains were too strong, and the beast's body couldn't break free. Damn it, this body is still too weak. The integration is not complete yet. Otherwise, you brat won't be able to trap me. The beast looked at Suluo and said coldly, even if you can control me temporarily, you won't be able to control me for long. Once my power is fully integrated with this body, you won't be able to stop me. By then, the power of this body will reach hundreds of tons. I will capture you, imprison you, and ultimately possess your body. I will change your mind and make you my servant. Suluo didn't pay any attention to this. He was earnestly researching how to extract that special energy from the beast's body. The beast sneered. You want to extract this power of the demon? Let me tell you, it's simply impossible. Unless you possess immense power that surpasses my own, you simply cannot extract this demonic energy. Suluo paid no attention to the demon's mockery. In his view, it was just energy. As long as it could be detected, there must be a way to capture and utilize it. Suluo began trying various methods to capture this energy. Eventually, he discovered that using a certain intensity of magnetic field could guide and capture these energies. Immediately, Suluo began using superconductive materials to create the desired strong magnetic field to guide and bind the demonic power. The calculation formula for magnetic field intensity, HNXI/Lo, I need to calculate the number of turns for the excitation coil and the excitation electric current. Suluo typed on the computer, simultaneously performing calculations without pausing his actions. As time passed, Suluo's strong magnetic field device took shape. On the other side, the bee saw that Suluo continued to ignore it, and since it was just expelling air without any response, it eventually stopped speaking. It even returned its body to the void. The void lay calmly on the operating table, coldly staring at Suluo. Soon, Suluo completed his device. Immediately, he began conducting experiments. He pressed the button, and the device buzzed to life. A strong magnetic field formed within the void's body, instantly binding the special energy. With Suluo's movements, he began to move the strong magnetic field. As a result, the special energy also began to move. Seeing this, a hint of joy flashed in Suluo's eyes. Very good. Capture and guidance complete. At this moment, the voice of the beast sounded, filled with astonishment and horror. How is this possible? 097 Demon Power Bracelet. The strength skyrocketed again. You actually did it. You actually managed to move the power of these demons. The beast widened its eyes, filled with astonishment. Suluo nodded and said, yes, I indeed moved it. The beast asked, how did you do it? Suluo replied, science. The beast continued, "Why are you able to sever my connection with this power of the demons?" Su Luo answered, "I simply formatted this power of the demons." The beast looked shocked and asked, "How did you do it?" Su Luo explained, "Through observation, I found that these energies were too active, as if they were being manipulated. I knew it. These energies should have been under your mind control. Your consciousness must have left some imprints on these energies. I observed that there were traces of electromagnetic energy on these energies. So I used strong magnetic force to wash away these electromagnetic traces. And then these energies lost their activity." Upon hearing this, the beast fell silent. It was unclear whether it didn't understand or simply felt caught off guard. After a long while, the beast cursed, "You're truly a monster." Su Luo's hands continued to move, moving a small cluster of demonic power out of the beast's body and into a small glass container. At the same time, Su Luo finally got a clear look at this energy. It was a dense, pitch-black color, incredibly dark, as if it was originally darkness itself, with a hint of eerie and chilling aura. Because it was bound by an invisible, strong magnetic field, this cluster of energy did not dissipate. Instead, it rolled and flowed within the strong magnetic field. In addition to the sinister and evil aura, Su Luo's super strong perception ability could also sense the immense power within that darkness. So this is the power of the demons? It does indeed look extremely evil. It looks very dangerous. Next, I need to consider injecting this thing into a human body while eliminating the side effects, or rather, allowing it to exert its effects without the side effects erupting, enhancing the strength of the human body. Once the research is complete, my power will advance further. Next, I need a new test subject, one that is not easily killed, to let me carry out the corresponding experiments. Naturally, Su Luo had such a test subject. That would be X-24. So, Su Luo returned to the safe house to bring X-24 over. The headquarters of the Hand Union. Several high-ranking members of the Hand Union gathered together. It's been so long. Why hasn't the leader returned? One of the high-ranking members of the Hand Union frowned. Yes, it's been a while, and there's no news at all. Could something have happened? A Hand Union elder clenched his teeth. After all, we have encountered situations where the leader suddenly disappeared before. Previously, when the leader disappeared for a long time, it was basically determined that she had been killed. Another member of the Hand Union shook his head and said, "It's impossible. The leader and Lord Evil God's integration is almost at the final stage. She has become extremely powerful, almost invincible. Moreover, she also brought a Calbina alloy treasure knife. Let's wait a little longer. Perhaps that mysterious person is a bit tricky, so it will take some effort for the leader to capture him." The rest of the people nodded upon hearing this. For them, all they could do was wait. They didn't know that the leader who went out to capture others had actually been captured by someone else. The roles of the hunter and the hunted had reversed. A new test began as he woke up. He started inputting that point into the body of X-24 and immediately noticed that the cells of X-24 had indeed been strengthened to a certain extent. However, because the transferred demonic power was not too much, the strengthening effect was not significant either. Su Luo then proceeded to transfer more demonic power. At this moment, the beast inside the black void suddenly became angry. "Are you a thief? This is the demonic power of strengthening the black void that I possess. Damn it, stop your actions immediately." Su Luo continued to focus on his own task. "This body is now my property, so I have the right to deal with anything inside her." The beast struggled desperately, trying to break free from the alloy chains. Unfortunately, the power of the peak black void period couldn't break free from the chains, let alone now that it had transferred a considerable amount of demonic power and further weakened its strength. As Su Luo constantly transferred more demonic power, Su Luo discovered that as X-24 was continuously strengthened, all the data of her body became stronger, and at the same time, X-24 began to lose some rationality. X-24's eyes turned bloodshot, filled with aggression, and she started to struggle hard, wanting to attack Su Luo. However, the current power of X-24 was far from enough to break free from the metal chains. Upon seeing this, Su Luo frowned slightly and said, "I can't increase the demonic power anymore. Otherwise, with the support of these demonic powers, X-24's body would be able to break free from these metal chains. After all, the foundation of X-24's physical qualities is much stronger than that of an ordinary girl. So the amplification effect will be even better, and her strength will naturally surpass that of an ordinary girl." Feeling the weaker body of the Black Void, the beast became furious. "You dare to steal even the demonic things. You are truly lawless. I have always been the one robbing others. No one has ever robbed me. You're playing with fire. Do you know that?" Su Luo completely ignored the beast and continued with his experiment. He began to examine how demonic power affected the human body. He found that demonic power had an impact on the human brain. Demonic power would stimulate the frontal lobe cortex and other parts of the brain. Ultimately, it makes people more extreme, more aggressive, and more anti-human. To reduce these effects, it is necessary to restrain these demonic powers and prevent them from coming into contact with the brain. In other words, I just need to confine the demonic power below the head to neutralize these powers. That means I need to create a specialized, strong magnetic device to be placed on the body to confine these demonic powers. That is indeed a solution. But there is also a hidden danger, which is that once the device is removed from the body, it cannot confine the demonic power inside the body, which would be troublesome. Keeping the demonic power inside the body all the time is a risk. Su Luo rubbed his chin and looked at X-24 in front of him, pondering a countermeasure. Perhaps I can confine the demonic power specifically behind a strong magnetic device. If I want to use it, I will release it and let it enter my body. At the same time, using a strong magnetic device to bind it below my neck can enhance my strength without affecting me. When not in use, I just need to retrieve the power of the demon. In this way, it's like I have obtained a temporary equipment enhancement. Thinking of this, Su Luo began to work on making a special strong magnetic device. Not long after, a brand new strong magnetic device appeared before Su Luo's eyes. It was a metal wristband, quite thick. This new strong magnetic wristband can absorb the power of the demon and compress and suppress it together. In addition, it can inject the power of the demon into his body and safely bind the power of the demon with strong magnetic force inside him. The most important thing is that if the user experiences a situation where their mind becomes unclear and is disturbed by the power of the demon, the wristband will trigger an automatic program to retract the power of the demon, serving as a safety guarantee. After completing these tasks, Su Luo began to transfer all the power of the demon from X-24's body to the wristband. He also wanted to continue extracting the power of the demon from Heikong's body. The beast, who had been silent for a while, spoke again. This time, its voice lacked anger and was calm and steady. "You can no longer extract the power of the demon from Heikong's body. The remaining power of the demon has already deeply bonded with Heikong. If you forcibly extract it, Heikong will die. I assume you don't want Heikong to die so soon. After all, for you, Heikong and me inside her still have research value." Su Luo didn't know whether to believe the beast's words or not. So he tried to continue extracting the power of the demon from Heikong's body. Immediately, Heikong let out a painful scream, and her eyes were filled with bloodshot veins. He also saw that Heikong's life signs were becoming extremely unstable. The beast said, "As I said, if you extract these last bits of the power of the demon, she will definitely die." Seeing this, Su Luo decided not to continue extracting the power of the demon from Heikong's body. After all, his research on Heikong and the beast was still short, and he didn't know much about them. As the beast said, Heikong still has a lot of research value. She can't die now. Su Luo immediately put the bracelet on X-24 and activated it. The next moment, black aura emerged and entered X-24's body. Immediately, X-24's body began to strengthen and quickly became more powerful. At the same time, his eyes remained clear. Su Luo checked through the instrument. The power of the demon stayed firmly below X-24's neck, clearly separated from his brain. Seeing this, a hint of joy flashed in Su Luo's eyes. He succeeded. The beast next to him saw this scene and felt a slight chill on its back. In its heart, it couldn't help but think, damn, what kind of monster is this guy? He continuously binds and guides the power of demons, and even removes the side effects. This guy clearly has no magic cultivation. So how can he achieve this level? He actually controls the power of demons with that small mechanical device. Looking at Su Luo's appearance, the beast couldn't help but feel a tingling sensation on its scalp. It had never seen such a situation before, where someone could control the power of demons without magic power. At the same time, feeling the significant decrease in the power of demons within the Black Void, it felt extremely angry. The power of demons that it had painstakingly accumulated was stolen by the person in front of it. Seeing Su Luo's happy expression, it became even more infuriated. It sneered, strengthening the body is just the most basic way to use the power of demons. It is the crudest method of using the power of demons, and relying on external objects to deal with the power of demons is ultimately inferior. The power of demons can only be mastered and suppressed by true demons, or by relying on a powerful spirit to resist the negative effects of the power of demons. Your method is not feasible, Su Luo said. As long as it can be used, any method is a good method. After all, the result is the most important. However, the beast's words also made him aware of another side effect of dealing with the power of demons. That is to train the spirit, make the spirit stronger, and then it can counteract the side effects of the power of demons. He thought to himself, "Thank you, beast, for giving me such useful information." After saying that, he closed the bracelet, and all the power of demons in X-24's body was absorbed and entered the bracelet. He immediately took the bracelet off the other person and put it on his own hand. Then he activated the bracelet. Suddenly, dark breaths poured into Su Luo's body. Su Luo instantly felt his body become even stronger. An even more powerful force surged from his body. Feeling the explosive power in his hand, Su Luo was very satisfied. So he quickly walked to the side. The activated power instrument was placed in a special alloy room to avoid the bad effects of shockwaves. He took a deep breath and gathered his strength. Then he punched the instrument that could test 70 tons of force. Boom! A loud noise. The power instrument instantly burst. A powerful shockwave rushed in all directions. The entire alloy room seemed to tremble slightly, and the power instrument cracked into several pieces, with exposed circuits and flickering electric sparks. Seeing this, Su Luo's mouth twitched. This power is a bit beyond his imagination. 098, even if I die, even if it is a long sleep, it smells so good. Su Luo had to rebuild a new strength tester. Soon, a larger volume strength tester appeared. This time, Luo directly created a tester with a maximum test limit of 150 tons. In this way, it should be enough for a short time. Su Luo took a deep breath again, concentrated his strength in his fist, and struck again. Boom! A loud noise. The numbers on the screen next to it began to soar. Soon it broke through 61 tons, still rising. Finally, the strength stopped at 85 tons. Seeing this, a smile appeared in Su Luo's eyes. Very good, very good. This demonic power is indeed quite powerful. It can actually amplify me so much. It has increased by 24 tons. And this is not all of Black Sky's demonic power, just a part. Su Luo looked at his fist. Not long ago, his strength was only in the 20s. But in the past 2 days, it directly soared to a maximum of 85 tons. 85 tons, almost able to contend with hatred. Su Luo said, "I have to work harder and strive to reach the 100-ton level as soon as possible." He then closed the bracelet. Suddenly, a black aura surged into the bracelet from his body. After doing all this, Su Luo returned outside. Perhaps because he absorbed the black aura, Black Sky's complexion became somewhat pale. Su Luo asked, "Beast, how can I help you increase your demonic power?" Black Sky's eyes turned completely black, and the beast possessed him again. The beast sneered, "Helping me increase my demonic power is actually helping yourself increase your demonic power. You have taken away the demonic power that I painstakingly absorbed, using it as your own. Am I that foolish? And you have a terrible temper. No one has ever ignored me like this. Today, you ignore me again and again. You are extremely audacious." The beast said, "Don't even think about it. Even if my host body dies and I fall asleep again for a period of time, I will not absorb demonic power again for you to use." Su Luo said, "In the future, how about we both increase our demonic power together? You contribute 1, and I contribute 9. The beast's expression froze. 1 to 9? I contribute 1, and you contribute 9? The beast became furious. "You are going too far. Do you really think I am your slave?" 217. "I am an original demon, a first-generation demon, one of the highest-ranked demons. How dare you treat me like this?" The beast angrily said, 8 to 2. I contribute 8, and you contribute 2. That's my bottom line. Give you 1 more %. Su Luo shook his head. "No, that won't work. I'll compromise. You contribute 3, and I contribute 7. The beast quickly shook his head. No, I contribute 4, and you contribute 6. How about that?" Su Luo said, 50-50. It's fine if you agree. If not, we'll cancel it. The beast was furious. 50-50. I worked so hard to refine it, and I have to give you half. Absolutely. Su Luo interrupted directly. That's enough. The beast hurriedly said, all right, 50-50. It gritted its teeth and said, I'll take a loss this time. If it weren't for your temper towards me, I would never agree to such unreasonable demands. Su Luo, just now this guy was still saying that he was not at fault for his temper. This sudden change can only mean that the demon is indeed up to something. Su Luo then said, so, how can we enhance your demonic power? The beast sniffed and said, there are several ways. The simplest way is to sacrifice humans and let me devour more fresh blood. The second way is a bit more difficult, opening up dimensions like the Dark Dimension or the Hell Dimension, allowing me to secretly absorb the power of Dormammu, Mephisto, and others. In this case, my power will increase rapidly. The third way is to directly let me devour other demons or beings like angels, which will greatly amplify my demonic power. The beast looked at Su Luo and said, or Kamatei can learn some forbidden magic? Open a portal to the Dark Dimension for me. Let me absorb Dormammu's power in large quantities. In that case, my demonic power will skyrocket. You can gain more demonic power, and you will become even stronger. The beast tempted Su Luo. Regarding this plan, Su Luo didn't even consider it. 1 ear in, 1 ear out. After all, if he really opened a portal to the Dark Dimension, he might be targeted by Dormammu and end up dead, even if Dormammu didn't target him. If the beast successfully stole the power of the other beings, by then, the beast's strength would undergo a tremendous change. In that case, he would have no control over it. Su Luo spoke up. I understand. I'll try to provide you with more fresh blood. I'll go buy it later. The beast shook its head and said, it must be fresh blood from a living person, otherwise it's useless. So you need to provide me with fresh blood from living people. Definitely, the stronger the better. Hearing this, Su Luo's gaze fell on X-24 beside him. Seeing Su Luo's gaze, X-24's face showed a terrified expression. Su Luo spoke up. What do you think of this guy? The beast spoke up. Very good. His body possesses vitality comparable to yours. But one person's blood is ultimately not enough, and I also need death to crown this blood. Su Luo heard this and said, all right. Su Luo then said, since we have reached an agreement, we can consider ourselves partners. Upon hearing this, the beast sneered, but then turned it into a chuckle, seemingly quite pleased. From now on, we are partners. You're an interesting person. I like that. Su Luo said, if I want to use demonic power and completely control it, eliminating its side effects. What should I do? The beast heard this and instantly lost its spirit. You can't do it. You're a human. Humans cannot master demonic power, let alone eliminate its side effects. At most, you can learn magic to borrow the power of demons, but it's only borrowing, not mastering. Upon hearing this, Su Luo fell silent. He felt that he should find a real demon to study the secrets of demons. Maybe then he could master demonic power. Su Luo then left the place. He returned to the safe house. At the moment, in the living room, two figures are studying. One is Elizabeth, not little Spider-Man, but their states are completely different. Elizabeth is listless, with a painful expression, studying as if undergoing torture. She looks at those math problems, feeling like she's reading a foreign language. Her head feels muddled, buzzing. Elizabeth mutters, "Math is so difficult to learn. I feel like they're buzzing in my ears like angry wasps." Meanwhile, little Spider-Man is completely focused, attentively attending class, holding a mini pencil in his hand, writing with divine precision. He quickly solves various equations. The two form a stark contrast. Claude looks at little Spider-Man, then at Elizabeth, and sighs. He says, "Little E, look at little Spider-Man and then look at yourself. Is studying really this painful?" Elizabeth looks at little Spider-Man, her face filled with tears, and says, "Little Spider-Man, you little brain, how can you understand math just by looking at it?" Little Spider-Man looks at Elizabeth, ponders for a moment, and then writes on the paper, "Because math is very simple. You can understand it with just a glance." After saying that, little Spider-Man smiles and squints his eyes. Seeing this, Elizabeth's eyes darken, and she feels like crying. At this moment, when they see Su Luo coming, both of the little one's eyes light up. Elizabeth wants to stand up and greet him, but Claude holds her shoulder. Claude calmly says, "Class isn't over yet." Elizabeth pouts and says, "But I just wanted to say hello to Big Brother." Little Spider-Man puts down his pencil. In a flash, he rushes to Su Luo's shoulder and happily rubs his head against Su Luo. Seeing this, Elizabeth says, "How can little Spider-Man be done with class?" Claude says, "He has good grades, studies diligently, and occasionally relaxes." "What's wrong with that?" "It's you who doesn't study properly and only thinks about slacking off. Continue studying." Elizabeth feels her vision go black. Su Luo greets the two and walks towards the basement. Just as Su Luo is about to go downstairs, little Spider-Man quickly returns, grabs his phone, notebook, and pen, and follows Su Luo downstairs. Seeing this, Claude nods and says, "This child, little Spider-Man, is really sensible." He then looks at Elizabeth and shakes his head slightly. Elizabeth is filled with frustration. It's not that she doesn't want to study, but she just can't understand math. Su Luo returns to the laboratory. He turns on the computer and starts reading the recent news, seeing if there's anything sudden. A picture appears before Su Luo's eyes. It's a photo of a huge amounts of black monster riding a motorcycle. Seeing this, Su Luo squints his eyes and says, "Venom." Then, his eyes light up slightly, and he says, "I didn't expect symbiotes to appear too," which means Venom has escaped from the Life Foundation. At this time, the Life Foundation should still have another symbiote. In other words, if I go to the Life Foundation next, I will be able to capture a symbiote, right? A symbiote should have strong research value. Symbiotes can greatly enhance various bodily functions, thereby improving combat experience. If I have the support of a symbiote, I should be able to fight against Venom and even suppress him. However, I need to overcome the ability of the symbiote to access people's memories. After all, I don't want a symbiote to access my memories. Perhaps I can create a symbiote battle armor. Su Luo remembered that Iron Man had created a symbiote battle armor in the comics, which was extremely powerful. If he used it, he would be even stronger. Just as Su Luo was murmuring to himself. At this moment, the phone rang. It was a call from a Human Torch. Su Luo answered the phone. "Hello. Boss, there's a situation with the Fantastic Four." "What's the situation?" Su Luo asked. The Human Torch replied, "The Fantastic Four were all shot by that guy with a ray gun. This caused a change in their personalities, making them more aggressive. The Fantastic Four had a big fight and left their lab one by one. The Human Torch said excitedly, I feel like they might have another fight. After all, everyone is really angry. Su Luo heard the excitement in the Human Torch's voice and said, Why are you excited about them fighting each other? The Human Torch said, Seeing superheroes fight each other, it feels really interesting. Su Luo. The Human Torch continued, Boss, from my observation, Mr. Fantastic has accumulated a lot of data on the four of them in the lab. He almost always conducts experiments and studies their conditions. Boss, you should be interested in this data. If you come over now, you can successfully steal their data. Upon hearing the Human Torch's words, Su Luo agreed. In fact, Su Luo had already planned to visit the Fantastic Four's lab and take a look at their data. This would provide data support for his research on the Invisible Woman and reduce his research time. With the ability of the Invisible Woman, he could not only turn invisible, but also release an invisible force field for defense and even fly. Obtaining the flight ability, Su Luo said, Okay, I'm coming over. Immediately, Su Luo hung up the phone. He said, This ray gun and some other things. It seems that I can bring that ray gun over and study it. After saying that, Su Luo transformed into an electric current and surged into the wires. He began to race through the complex circuits of the city. After a while, he finally arrived at the Fantastic Four's lab. He emerged from a plug in the corner. There was also a strand of electric current next to him, which was the Human Torch. Boss, look ahead. There's something going on, the Human Torch said. Su Luo looked ahead. 099, the hate ray gun, got at the coordinates of the superplanet. I saw a guy sneaking in at the front gate. He was wearing a purple cloak and a conical hood on his head, looking like a petty thief. After he sneaked in, he moved cautiously, looking around, and his actions seemed a bit shady. The electric man in the corner looked at the person and said to Su Luo, This is the person I told you about, the one with the oxygen ray gun. He used the ray gun to change the Fantastic Four's personalities, turning the originally harmonious team into adversaries. They ended up having a big fight and left the laboratory in disagreement. Hearing this, Su Luo looked at the guy and said, This is the guy. Truly, appearances can be deceiving. The purple guy saw that there was no one in the laboratory. He became bolder instantly. He walked straight into the laboratory and smirked, saying, What can the Fantastic Four do against my hate ray? They are no match for me. I can easily drive you out of the laboratory. You may be strong, but soon you will be defeated by me. He looked at the laboratory and said, Destroying the Fantastic Four's laboratory should make me famous, right? Along with defeating the Fantastic Four. From today on, the name of the hate merchant will resound throughout New York City. Saying that, he kicked over a stool. The stool fell to the ground, breaking a leg instantly. At the same time, the hate merchant held his foot and exclaimed, Damn, that hurts. This damn stool is so damn hard. The electric man next to Su Luo said, This guy seems mentally unstable. Su Luo nodded. Supervillains, in general, are not mentally stable. Abnormality is the norm. Su Luo murmured, The hate merchant, huh? Seems like a supervillain I'm not familiar with. But you can't destroy the laboratory. After all, I still need to gather information. At this moment, the hate merchant took out a lighter from his pocket and said, Watch as I use this little lighter to set this place on fire. Ha. Soon, the Fantastic Four's laboratory will become a raging inferno. Saying that, the hate merchant clicked the lighter. A small flame instantly appeared. The hate merchant looked at the flame, and a smile appeared on his face. Just then, the hate merchant suddenly felt a shadow blocking his view. Whoosh! A gust of air blew. The flame on the lighter went out instantly. The hate merchant looked up and found that a tall man was standing in front of him. But the man's face was completely covered, and he couldn't see his features. The man spoke with a deep and powerful voice, tinged with seriousness. You can't do that. The hate merchant was stunned for a moment and asked, What can I do? Set fire here and burn down the laboratory. The man said seriously. The hate merchant looked up at the towering figure and swallowed his saliva. Who are you? The man replied, Just a passerby. The corners of the hate merchant's mouth twitched. Seeing the tall and imposing figure in front of him, The skinny hate merchant felt a sense of retreat in his heart because he couldn't win against the man. He was just an ordinary person using high-tech gadgets. The hate merchant asked, "So, should I leave?" The man replied, "Leave your things behind." "What things?" the hate merchant asked in confusion. The man said, "Your special ray gun. Hand it over to me." Su Luo was actually quite interested in the special ray gun of the hate merchant. After all, it could affect people's emotions and make the Fantastic Four argue and disperse. When the hate merchant heard Su Luo's words, he was shocked. "How do you know?" "No, I won't give it to you. This is the most important thing to me." The hate merchant's eyes instantly burst with anger. His whole person seemed to have become much tougher in an instant. Su Luo raised his hand and punched the other party directly. Bang! Instantly, a black eye circle appeared on the hate merchant's face. The hate merchant covered his eyes and felt stars in his eyes. Su Luo said the thing. The hate merchant readily handed over the ray gun hanging from his waist to Su Luo. He did not use the ray gun on Su Luo. After all, if he did, it might make Su Luo even more irritable, and his fate would be even more miserable. Seeing how the hate merchant cooperated, Su Luo nodded in satisfaction. Su Luo continued, "What is this gun for?" The hate merchant hurriedly said, "The ray emitted by this gun is called the hate ray, and my nickname, the hate merchant, comes from it. The person who is hit by it will become even more paranoid, and they will be more likely to cause trouble. The effect lasts for a day. I used to hold this thing and shoot at ordinary people, inciting one riot after another. But later, I felt it was boring, so I went to the Fantastic Four, want to make a name for myself." Hearing this, Su Luo nodded slightly. He continued, "I heard you say just now that you want to defeat the Fantastic Four. From your tone, this defeat should not only be about damaging the Fantastic Four's laboratory." The hate merchant covered his eyes and squeezed out a smile. "You are indeed perceptive, seeing through everything. My defeat is indeed not just about damaging their laboratory. If I only destroy their laboratory, it's not a remarkable achievement. What I want is to separate them and defeat them one by one. To defeat the Fantastic Four and destroy their laboratory, that would instantly make my achievements substantial. That's the way for me to make a name in New York." Hearing this, Su Luo said, "So, how do you plan to defeat them? Although they are separated, they are still superpowered individuals, and their strength is not weak. I can tell from your appearance that you don't have any super abilities. Invisible Woman has the ability to turn invisible, so it's impossible for you to hit her. Human Torch has extreme heat, Thing has a strong body, and Mr. Fantastic has elastic body. Your attacks won't have any effect on them. Then use firearms." Through his super hearing and perception, Su Luo could clearly feel that the intensity of the other party's heartbeat was no different from an ordinary person, and there was nothing extraordinary about him in other aspects. He couldn't sense any trace of superhuman power. If the hate merchant wanted to take action himself, there was simply no possibility of defeating the Fantastic Four. If he wanted to defeat them, he either needed to use powerful offensive weapons instead of the hate ray, which had no direct attacking power, or he needed to find some stronger teammates. As the hate merchant spoke, it turned out as expected. The hate merchant said, "Indeed, I don't have any power, but I found teammates. I found a teammate with great power, and that is Rhino Man. Not only does he have strong attack power, but his defense is also amazing. I will have him attack Invisible Woman first. Invisible Woman can turn invisible, which is indeed troublesome, but the ray I injected into her body before not only makes her more paranoid, it also leaves an electromagnetic wave trace in her body. As long as you wear special glasses, you can track Invisible Woman's figure. I have corresponding methods for the other people too." Hearing this, Su Luo nodded. The hate merchant cautiously said, "Can I go now?" Su Luo didn't say anything and directly threw a punch. Bang! The hate merchant was knocked out instantly. After finishing these tasks, Su Luo looked at the electric light person beside him and said, "You immediately go and find the Invisible Woman. After finding her, bring me the news about her invisibility disguise." The current Invisible Woman's ability development is not very strong. She doesn't have abilities like flight. Facing the Rhino Man, who can see through her invisibility ability, is impossible for her to win. She will definitely be defeated by the Rhino Man. Once he scans the data in the laboratory, he can go to the place where the Invisible Woman is fighting. He will take the Invisible Woman away and use the invisibility drive. Definitely, he also needs to study the Invisible Woman and replicate her ability. After all, saving her shouldn't be in vain. With the support of the laboratory data, it won't take long for him to complete the replication of the invisibility ability. Then he will be able to possess the same ability. The electric light person next to him quickly said, "Okay, boss." He immediately transformed into an electric current and entered the power line. He started to search for the location of the Invisible Woman. Su Luo walked towards the computer. He turned on a mainframe, and suddenly the screens lit up one by one. Su Luo quickly tapped on the keyboard, and the corresponding data of the Invisible Woman popped up on the computer. There were a large amount of experimental data and regular monitoring data. They flowed quickly on the computer like a waterfall. It was very fast, and ordinary people couldn't see the data clearly. They only felt rows of green flying by. Su Luo's eyes followed the flying data on the screen, activating his enhanced vision. At the same time, his brain quickly turned, memorizing those things. With the passage of time, all the data of the Invisible Woman entered Su Luo's mind. After Su Luo finished memorizing all the data, he looked at the other information in the computer. Suddenly, his eyes slightly narrowed. Then he discovered a secret file. What is this? It's hidden so secretly. If I hadn't scanned the entire computer carefully, I wouldn't have noticed this file. To be able to hide something so secretly, there must be something extraordinary about it. Su Luo quickly typed on the keyboard. A series of codes quickly flowed into the computer, requesting flowers. Soon, he completed the decryption of this secret file. After he opened it, he looked at the data inside. After scanning it, Su Luo's eyes became solemn and a hint of surprise appeared. I didn't expect that inside here are the coordinates of another world, as well as the corresponding method to open it. This world is the special planet that the Fantastic Four explored. When they were still ordinary people, they opened a spatial channel and entered that planet. Then they obtained various extraordinary powers. It can be said that the abilities of the Fantastic Four originated from that mysterious planet. Apart from the Fantastic Four, Dr. Doom, also known as the Destroyer, also obtained extraordinary powers from that planet. Su Luo looked at the data in front of him and let out a breath. I didn't expect that I was just trying to obtain the relevant information about the Invisible Woman, but I unexpectedly obtained such a pleasant surprise. Su Luo was particularly curious about that mysterious planet. To be able to bestow extraordinary powers upon the Fantastic Four and Dr. Doom, that planet must be extraordinary. He wondered what kind of secrets it held. With this information, I can enter that mysterious planet. I can explore the secrets of that mysterious planet. After quickly memorizing all the information, Su Luo finished these tasks. There was a crackling sound, and then an electric current flew out from the keyboard and landed beside Su Luo, transforming into a human form. It was the electric light person. The electric light person said, "Boss, I have found the Invisible Woman. She is fighting alone with the Rhino Man, but she is completely no match for the Rhino Man." Immediately, the electric man gave the address to Su Luo. Su Luo nodded slightly after listening, then immediately cleared the traces and monitoring records in the computer. After finishing these tasks, he handed the thing in his hand to the electric man. "Take this ray gun with you and give it to me later. Oh, before you leave, tie up this hateful trafficker as well." Su Luo didn't mind doing this kind of easy task. After finishing these tasks, he transformed into an electric current and drilled into the complex network of wires. He ran towards the other side, towards the location of the Invisible Woman. Not long after, Su Luo arrived at a utility pole next to a grassland. He emerged from the wires, transformed into human form, and stood on top of the utility pole, overlooking the front. Just ahead, not far away, the Rhino Man was fighting with the air. Through his powerful hearing, Su Luo could sense the presence of the invisible air and a slender figure. He knew that it was the Invisible Woman. When the Rhino Man saw Su Luo, there was a significant change between them. The Rhino Man's strength had become much stronger. In addition, there seemed to be an extra layer of special battle suit on his hard shell. At his eyes, he wore a pair of special glasses. It seemed that he was checking the position of the Invisible Woman. However, the Invisible Woman was no match for the powerful Rhino Man. The defensive barrier created by her invisibility was easily shattered. Her whole body also suffered from the Rhino Man's fist, which was as big as a sandbag. The Rhino Man had no intention of showing mercy. He punched the Invisible Woman several times, just as fierce as when he fought Gwen last time. Every punch was full of strength. Bang! The Invisible Woman was directly sent flying by the Rhino Man's punch. She rolled on the ground for a few rounds before coming to a stop. What could be seen were the small grass on the lawn being continuously flattened, but nothing could be seen being flattened. After coming to a stop, the invisibility effect on the Invisible Woman also disappeared. There were some bruises on her face and bloodstains at the corners of her mouth. She seemed to be seriously injured. She coughed and coughed up some blood, saying, How can you accurately capture my position? The Rhino Man laughed heartily. I won't tell you. Just the Fantastic Four. Watch me knock you out completely, and then deal with the others. Just as the Rhino Man was about to make a move, a figure quickly landed in front of the Invisible Woman. Seeing that figure, the Rhino Man was stunned. Then he frowned. Why do you look so familiar? Suddenly, a flash of inspiration came to his mind. It's you, the guy who electrocuted me. The Rhino Man said in a deep and menacing voice. You succeeded in ambushing me last time. This time you're finished. Then he laughed loudly. Now, I have put on an insulated battle suit, and my strength has further improved. You're done for, kid. The Rhino Man leaped up and punched towards Su Luo. Su Luo raised his hand. Bang! The huge fist collided with the relatively small palm. That palm didn't move at all, as if it contained immense strength. The figure, smaller and leaner compared to the Rhino Man, didn't budge at all, as steady as Mount Tai. A massive shockwave flew in all directions. The grass bent low, and the airwaves surged. The Rhino Man's eyes widened, filled with disbelief. 100 terror powers terrified everyone. Reproduced the invisible position. The Rhino Man's eyes widened. How? How is this possible? How could you possibly withstand my punch? Although I held back my strength to avoid killing you, this level of power should still be beyond what you can handle. The Rhino Man had fought against Su Luo before, so he thought he understood Su Luo's fighting ability, thinking it was just average, like Captain America, a bit weak. He held back his strength, not intending to kill his opponent with one punch, but to send him flying or even severely injure him. But he didn't expect that. His punch had no effect on Su Luo, who acted as if nothing had happened. The Rhino Man couldn't believe it and shouted, Come on, I don't believe it. You little bean, how much strength can you possibly have? Before he could finish his sentence, bang! Su Luo's leg came crashing in. A terrifying force surged out from his leg like a floodgate opening. His leg hit the Rhino Man, interrupting his speech. The terrifying power in that leg made the Rhino Man's pupils shrink. At that moment, he felt as if a mountain was flying towards him. An unstoppable mountain. A scream. The Rhino Man was sent flying, crashing into the ground, leaving a deep mark on the lawn. The Rhino Man lay on the ground, groaning in pain. He felt like his whole body was falling apart. He was terrified. How? How could this happen? One kick sent me flying. Is this still the little bean who kept dodging my attacks? Damn it! Why is his power so terrifying? He got up from the ground. Before he could react, he heard a strong, tearing air sound. An incredibly terrifying, forceful gust came towards him. He looked up and saw that Su Luo had already flown over from a distance, and another flying kick was heading towards him. Seeing this, the Rhino Man's scalp went numb, and he quickly said, Wait, I surrender. Bang! That leg had already hit the Rhino Man. The terrifying power that he couldn't resist had arrived. He crashed into the ground. A large pit appeared. The Rhino Man lay in the pit, groaning and convulsing. Intense pain swept through his body. At that moment, the Rhino Man couldn't understand. Why did the other person have such terrifying power? Clearly, such a small body contained power even more terrifying than his. Others called him a monster, but the person in front of him was the real monster. Su Luo landed next to the large pit, overlooking the Rhino Man. The Rhino Man was in despair. Surrender. Why are you still attacking? Su Luo spoke. You were too slow in speaking. You didn't finish. He added in his mind, actually, I just wanted to test my current strength. The Rhino Man, with his tough skin and strong body, is the perfect test subject. On the other side, the Invisible Woman saw the scene where the Rhino Man was being suppressed by the mysterious person, and her pupils trembled. She recognized this man, the one who had used a special iron ball to defeat Electro last time. She didn't expect that his power would be so terrifying. He actually completely overwhelmed the Rhino Man, who was incredibly powerful and brutal. The exaggerated display of strength left the Invisible Woman somewhat stunned. Intense pain swept through the Invisible Woman's body, causing her expression to twist slightly. She coughed a few times, her gaze hardly leaving the figure in front of her. Who on earth is this person? The Invisible Woman frowned as she looked ahead. At this moment, she felt her vision starting to blur. Suddenly, in confusion, she bumped her head on the ground and fell into a coma from the severe injury. Su Luo turned to look at the Invisible Woman, and within a few breaths, he arrived by her side. He thought to himself, next, it's time to replicate the Invisible Woman. Immediately, Su Luo picked up the Invisible Woman and left the scene. He flew towards his secret laboratory. The Rhino Man climbed out of the pit, feeling incredibly painful as if he had been struck by a heavy hammer several times. His bones seemed to be breaking. He looked around and found that Su Luo's figure was gone, and there was no sign of the Invisible Woman either. Enduring the pain, the Rhino Man ran away, rumbling and without any intention of stopping. He muttered, "Damn it, what kind of monster is this guy? Last time, he directly stunned me and sent me to prison. This time, he personally attacked me and almost killed me. In the future, I must stay far away from this guy, or just crash into him." The Rhino Man gritted his teeth. It's all because of this guy, the hate merchant. He clearly said that no one would come to support the Invisible Woman. I could easily take care of her. But in the end, someone still came. This guy is completely unreliable. On the side, in the bushes, a tiny figure sat on an ant and witnessed this scene. He swallowed his saliva. Damn, who is that guy in black? Why is he so terrifying? At this moment, a voice came through the earpiece. It was the voice of the wasp. Why did you stop? Didn't I tell you to adapt to working with ants? Antman spoke. I just witnessed an amazing scene. You might not believe it. On the grass outside, I saw a supervillain, the Rhino Man, defeat the Invisible Woman from the Fantastic Four. Upon hearing this, the wasp quickly said, "Rhino Man, he's a brute with huge amounts of strength. You have to stay away from him. Otherwise, you'll easily get hurt." Ant-Man spoke, but this Rhino Man was defeated by someone. The Thing? That incredibly strong stone monster. Ant-Man shook his head. No, it was an ordinary-looking man. Couldn't see his face. But he easily defeated the Rhino Man, completely crushed him. My God, he's incredibly powerful. On the other side, after Mr. Fantastic took a walk outside and suppressed his anger, he suddenly sensed that something was wrong. He furrowed his brow. My temper seems to be worse. Not just me. All four of us have become more irritable. It's completely different from before. We've never argued so fiercely like today. I've never lost control like I did today, getting so angry. There must be a reason causing this change in me. Some external factor is influencing me. No, I must control my emotions. I can't let myself become this bad. Control myself. Reed, you can do it. Mr. Fantastic immediately returned to the lab. He immediately saw the hate merchant who had passed out. He quickly approached and woke up the hate merchant. Mr. Fantastic frowned as he looked at the hate merchant. Who are you? The hate merchant, seeing the main character return, panicked. I'm just an ordinary thief. I wanted to break in here and steal things. The result was caught by someone and then knocked unconscious. MR, Fantastic could tell that the hate trafficker was lying. Instantly, an uncontrollable anger surged in his heart, and he raised his hand, intending to give the other person a slap. Seeing this, the hate trafficker trembled in fear. He suddenly remembered what he had just said to himself and quickly took a deep breath, saying to himself, "Control yourself, control yourself. You can do it." The hate trafficker quickly said, "Yes, yes, yes, you're a superhero. You can't just hit people randomly. You can't hit someone who hasn't done anything too wrong. And besides, I only attempted theft. Even if you want to educate me, it should be the law that educates me, not you. Control yourself. Control yourself. You can do it, Dr. Fantastic." With a loud smack, the hate trafficker received a resounding slap. Mr. Fantastic's eyes seemed to be about to collide with the hate trafficker's as he shouted, "You're still innocent? Can a law make you bastards change your ways? You law-breaking bastards." Smack, smack. Two more loud slaps, and the hate trafficker's cheek instantly swelled up, causing intense pain. Mr. Fantastic roared, "Tell me, what is your purpose?" Faced with the furious Mr. Fantastic, the hate trafficker quickly revealed his own situation. Hearing the hate trafficker's words, Mr. Fantastic became furious and slapped him twice more. The hate trafficker's ears were ringing from the blows. Mr. Fantastic said, "Indeed, I knew it wouldn't be that simple. Indeed, someone is playing tricks. No, I have to quickly find Thunderbolt and the Thing and go rescue Susan." He quickly dialed their numbers, asking them to come back quickly and explain the situation. Upon hearing Mr. Fantastic's words, the two of them also realized what was going on and hurried back to the lab. Meanwhile, Mr. Fantastic began searching for a solution. He quickly checked the strange rays on his body and started studying how to crack them. As one of the most powerful researchers of abilities on this planet, Mr. Fantastic's ability was unquestionable. He quickly found a solution and started creating a reflection ray to crack it. At this moment, Thunderbolt and the Thing also returned. They were both filled with anger. If it were any other time, they could control themselves. But now, the hate ray was still taking effect. So, when they saw the instigator, they once again beat him up. The hate trafficker lay on the ground, groaning in pain, and tears of agony streamed down his face. Soon, Mr. Fantastic finished making the device. He used the reflection ray to shine it on the three of them, and instantly they felt their emotions relax a lot. The impatience they had just felt disappeared in an instant. Seeing this scene, the hate trafficker breathed a sigh of relief, knowing that the torment was finally over. Mr. Fantastic quickly typed on the keyboard, saying, "Let me check Susan's location." He hacked into the public surveillance system. He looked at the time when Susan left the lab. Suddenly, he saw Susan angrily leaving the lab and eventually walking to a lawn. Then he saw Rhino Man appear and beat Susan up. Seeing this, Thunderbolt became furious and charged at the hate trafficker once again. The hate trafficker exclaimed in fear, "Your hate ray has already been lifted." But what awaited him was Thunderbolt's angry fist. Finally, he saw Su Luo appear and easily defeat Rhino Man. Seeing this, everyone's eyes widened. This is the mysterious person who dealt with Electro Man last time. He actually has such incredible power. He completely crushed the Rhino Man. He must have such terrifying power. Immediately, they saw Su Luo taking the unconscious invisible woman away. But at the same time, they breathed a sigh of relief. In their eyes, Su Luo was a superhero. After all, he had stopped crime multiple times. He took the invisible woman away, probably to treat her. Thunderbolt Fire said, "Quickly check where he took my sister." He anxiously said, "She's unconscious. She must be seriously injured." These damn bastards. Mr. Fantastic immediately started searching, but in the subsequent public surveillance footage, there was no trace of Su Luo or the invisible woman. On the other side, Su Luo carried the unconscious invisible woman back to Hell's Kitchen. He fell from a tall building and landed in an alley, preparing to enter a house. Just at that moment, a group of thugs in black clothes passed by the alley. They saw Su Luo and also caught a glimpse of the beautiful side profile of the Invisible Woman. Instantly, those thugs' eyes lit up. Put down the woman in your hands, leave the money, and get lost. Hurry up and get lost, or else we haven't changed our minds. As they spoke, they revealed weapons like knives, and someone even pulled out a gun. It can be said that the thugs in Hell's Kitchen were the most stubborn bunch. Seeing this, Su Luo calmly said, "If you don't want to die, then leave." Hearing Su Luo's words, these thugs started the standard villain mode. They began to laugh loudly, and then they started mocking Su Luo. Seeing this, Su Luo remained calm and composed. Soon, Su Luo's secret laboratory had a group of unconscious little thugs. B saw this and was extremely delighted. "I didn't expect your efficiency to be so high. You really suit my taste. You suit my temperament. I just love people like you with such strong execution," Su Luo calmly said. "These are all people who are asking for death. 1.0, it has nothing to do with me." Immediately, he took the invisible makeup from his body to another sealed laboratory. He placed the Invisible Woman on the table. He murmured, after replicating the Invisible Woman's ability, "Next, I will go to the Life Foundation to bring the symbiote for research. If the research goes well, I can obtain even stronger power. I can go to the military base and take down Venom, obtaining his super strength." His eyes gleamed slightly. "Invisible field, superpower emperor. I'm getting closer to the embryonic state, further than ever before. First, replicate the Invisible Woman's ability." Immediately, Su Luo got to work. With the relevant data from Mr. Fantastic and some experimental ideas, Su Luo's progress became even faster. After all, Mr. Fantastic's abundant information had cleared most of the obstacles for Su Luo. Mr. Fantastic is indeed impressive, having researched to this extent and completed a deep analysis of the Invisible Woman's genetic data. This has saved me a lot of time. In this way, it won't take too long for me to complete the replication. Su Luo's hands moved rapidly, constantly tapping various instruments and devices, while also conducting corresponding calculations and reasoning, even retrogressing the framework of the Invisible Woman's ability. Inside the entire room, besides the even breathing of the unconscious Invisible Woman, there was only the sound of Su Luo's actions. Is this the framework diagram of the Invisible Woman's invisible field? The invisible field of the Invisible Woman is an extremely special force field. She can sense a special power, which then forms a unique field. The Invisible Woman can use this field to bend all wavelengths of light around herself or the target to achieve invisibility, without causing any visible distortion.
No more novels? Take part in the voting. The most requested novels and those with the most likes will be chosen for publication on euroaudiobooks.com. There, I can upload as much as I want without the risk of receiving a strike. Our 18 novels and other content that exceed what is morally acceptable are only published on Patreon or the free novels page. Remember, the site is funded by donations on Ko-fi and Patreon memberships.